Chapter 3660. Hey, the second is here. What did you say? The words of the Lord of Life and Death made all three masters stand up. The law of the universe is coming because of the sword heaven? The tall man's voice was low. How high is the law of the universe, and even the supreme strong can't lead the law of the universe to come? How can this sword be the heaven and earth? The evil charm youth also said. Does the Lord know? What did the sword's celestial soldiers do in order to let the law of the universe come? Tong Yanhe made the old man look down. Why did the law of the universe come? The master didn't know it. The Lord of Life and Death shook his head. The master said that although he dominated the heavenly will of the early gods, this matter was about the law of the universe. From the moment the law of the universe came, in the beginning, the heavenly ways of the divine realm have stagnated. He can't touch the fourth heaven at all now, and he only inferred that the coming of the universe law followed this because he knew that Jianghu was on the fourth heaven, and now that the law of the universe also came on the fourth heaven. Jianghu is related. The Lord of the demon clouds, although it dominates the heavenly will of the early gods, but the heavenly will of a starry world is nothing in front of the laws of the universe. The law of the universe has already come. During this period there is no of the early gods. What's wrong with Jianghu's will? In that case, we don't know what method the sword heavens have used to make the laws of the universe come. Tall man said. No matter what method he uses, but since it can cause the law of the universe to come down in person, it is absolutely different. Tong Yanhe said the old man solemnly. The master also said that the law of the universe is coming. It's not a trivial matter, and that sword might have huge benefits from the law of the universe, so the master wants you three to be able to keep the three holy realms as much as possible. To find out exactly why the sword heaven and earth caused the law of the universe, but also to understand what he got from the law of the universe. Finally, the master also said that in the beginning, the world of God would come to the law of the universe, which caught his attention. He would understand the events in the magic cloud star as soon as possible, and then came over in person. Adult is coming over in person? The three masters are all. They are very clear about the situation of the Lord of the Clouds. Under normal circumstances, the Lord of the Clouds will not leave the Lord of the Clouds at this time, but now, it seems that it is because of the law of the universe that the Lord of the Clouds will be against the sword. Tianhu really took it seriously. We already know what you said, go on. The tall man waved. The Lord of Life and Death immediately bowed and retreated. After the Lord of Life and Death left, Master Xingzhu wants us to find a way to understand the purpose of the coming of the law of the universe, and what the sword heaven has got in the law of the universe. How do these two think? Tong Yanhe, the old man, looked around at the two people around him. What do you think? The tall man pouted his lips. Even before, we thought that the sword Tianhu had broken through to reach the rule master, and the combat power was comparable to the master, but as long as the three of us join forces, even in this early world we can also confront him, even suppress him, but now he actually caused the law of the universe to come, then all this is impossible. Yes, the law of the universe never came easily. Now that he has come, the sword heaven must have benefited a lot from the law of the universe, and the strength is likely to make a big breakthrough. Now, the three of us even together, I'm afraid it's not his opponent anymore. The evil charm youth said. That's it. The three of us are probably not their opponents. How do we figure out those things? At best, we can only do our best to force him to show his whole cards. Tong Yanhe said the old man. We can only do this. The other two nodded. Before the three of them were unparalleled in swords, they were also full of confidence. I think that even in the early world of the gods, the strength of the three of them is very limited, but as long as they work together, they can easily suppress Jianghu. But now they dare not think so. After all, the sword unparalleled has caused the law of the universe. In addition, the advent of the law of the universe also caused the Lord of the Clouds to really pay attention to the sword warriors, and even after a short while, the deity will come to himself. This is definitely something that the sword warriors did not expect. Of course, Jianghu didn't know this either. He is still under the cover of the laws of the universe. The law of the universe is covered by him, and to experience the law of the universe at such a close distance, this is too great for Jianghu. He is also the first time to come into contact with this supreme power. Although the process is very short, in this short period of time he has benefited too much. Finally, the laws of the universe have disappeared. The dark void in the uppermost void has slowly converged, and the whole world has returned to peace. In the seal formation, Jianghu still sat there, but his face was a little surprised. Little guy, what's the harvest? Xianyi Chao. Jianghu looked over. After hearing Zuanyi's words, Jianghu was awakened and said, the harvest is great. After all, this is a deeper power than the rules. Although this power is beyond my grasp at this time, I have no idea about it. Strength has at least some general impressions, and it will definitely be easier to realize it in the future. Novel. Calm, that's it. You are too weak now and you can't supreme the laws of the universe. The power of the universe alone is very high for you, but once you are strong, you will start to really touch the universe's origin. When you realize the origin of the universe, what you see today and what you feel today is very useful to you. Xianyi smiled. Wu Jinshuang also smiled and nodded. He knew very well how much help he would have in the future in the short period of time. Yes, the coming of the law of the universe will inevitably give you a lot of things. What are they? Xuanyi asked. First is a willpower. Jian Wu Shuangdou. Willpower? Xianyi nodded slightly. You refine this seal formation into your own secret world, and you will definitely get a willpower, but since this willpower is given by the laws of the universe, it must be very rude? It is very arrogant and unique. Like the general willpower, the power given is fixed, but the willpower given by the law of the universe is different. This willpower is completely based on my own power. If it can be decided, it can directly double my own power. Jian Wu Shuangdou. Chapter 3661. The first is here. Directly doubled? Xianyi looked at Jian Wushuang in wonder. Like me now, although it is only the master of the rules, but because of the perfect level of life, the divine power that I can explode is not weaker than the ordinary primary master, and if I perform mystery and celestial magic, then my divine power is 3 times that of the primary master. But now, with this will power given by the laws of the universe, my divine power can be doubled again on the basis of 3 times the primary domination, that is, 6 times the full, 6 times the primary domination. Divine power, this is already more tyrannical than many higher masters. Jian Wu Shuangdou. The primary master and the higher master, in terms of divine power alone, the difference is not too big. Before Jian Wushuang could explode 3 times the primary master power, it was close to the high master. The will power given by the law of the universe can double his divine power again, which is equivalent to 6 times the power of the primary master. This kind of divine power is indeed very arrogant among the higher masters. Already. Yes, it is indeed the will power given by the laws of the universe. It is indeed much stronger than the ordinary will power. Xianyi smiled. It is very strong, and this willpower is changed according to my own divine power, that is, as my strength increases, the divine power continues to increase, but this willpower helps my overall strength but will not weaken at all. Jian Wushuang smiled. Apart from the power of will? Has the law of the universe given you anything else? Xuanyi looked at it again. Yes. The sword has no double emphasis. In addition to this willpower, the law of the universe has given me a unique mystery, to be precise, a gift of magic. Talented? Xianyi's eyes brightened and he smiled. It really is a talented supernatural power. Master, have you guessed it? Jian Wushuang surprised. It's not that I guess, I just entered the mysterious area by chance when I was smashing in the 3 battlefields, and I got an ancient supreme part of the memory in that secret area, and in that part of the memory there was about the universe. The law comes down to something. After a pause, Xianyi continued, in the vast universe the laws of the universe rarely come, but as long as it comes and comes to a practitioner, that practitioner will get immense benefits. And, most of the time, the laws of the universe will give each other a unique talent, which is also based on the special conditions achieved by the practitioner himself. It's like you are now refining a secret world comparable to a small astral world. That's no surprise. The talents given to you by the laws of the universe are bound to have a lot to do with this small astral world. Yes. Sword Wushuang smiled. The gift of magic given to me by the laws of the universe, called the primitive universe, is based on the small astral universe I am refining at the core to form a primitive universe covering everything around it. In this primitive universe, within, my strength will be greatly improved. However, this gift of magical powers must be limited. It can only be performed once every 12 hours, that is, 1 day, and each time it can only last for 10 breaths. After being given the laws of the universe, Jian Wushuang already has a certain understanding of this talented supernatural power he has obtained. Primitive universe is undoubtedly an extremely powerful talent, but because it is powerful, it has many restrictions. Every gifted magical power has some limitations, let alone the gifted magical power given by the laws of the universe. Although your gifted magical power is overbearing, the rules of the universe will certainly not allow you to use it unbridled. Xianyi said. That's it. Jian Wushuang nodded. Anyway, this time the law of the universe comes, you will make a lot of money? This is all thanks to the master. Jian Wushuang is grateful. It is true that this small astral world was originally prepared for him by Xian Yi, and the law of the universe also came because he refined this small astral world into his own secret world. In other words, the advent of the laws of the universe, including the endowment of him, is actually largely due to his master's credit. I'm dead. The only thing I can do now is to provide you with as much opportunity as possible, but what I can give you now is really not much. Apart from this small astral world, the only thing I have left is that town monument. However, Zhenshinbai, after all, is the ultimate treasure above the strongest treasure. Such treasures may be dazzled even by the supreme strongman. Although he received a statue for the teacher at the beginning, the follow-up refinement, but it took a long time and energy to succeed, and the refinement of this town's Tianbei can't help you as a teacher, you can only work hard. Xian Yi together. Disciple understand. Jian Wushuang nodded. Well, this small astral world has been refined by you. Everything I can give you is also given. There is no need for my lingering soul. Little guy, you are the only one in my early world. Yes, it is the last glimmer of hope. I have prepared so much for you carefully. Then you must succeed in the last step. Wu Xuanyi took a deep look at Jian Wushuang. His body has begun to dissipate slowly. Grateful master. Qi Jian's face is cold and stern, and watching his master's last trace of remnants dissipate. Although he has grief in his heart, he is more determined. He knows that his teacher paid too much for him, and he could not repay him for his generosity. And the only thing he can do is to make his master truly aimless, and there is only one thing, that is, to complete what his master did not do that year, and to take back the divine realm from the hands of the Lord of the Devil and the Cloud. That step he must reach it. At last, Zuanyi's body completely dissipated, but Jian Wushuang still stood there, watching where his master disappeared, and then exhaled heavily. I have been refining the seal formation, and the seven-star divine realm within the seal formation is naturally under my control. Jian Wu's eyes narrowed, his thoughts moved, and he instantly nurtured through this small astral world. On that day, the will to see the entire seven-star divine realm completely. Sure enough, the subsequent evolution of the seven-star divine realm is completely imitated by the universe. Jian Wushuang secretly said. The seven-star divine realm was once a territory of the early divine realm and a complete continent, but it is completely different now. Chapter 3662? Hey, the second is here. Qi Jian Wushuang was born in this seal circle. He knew the scene here naturally. In his era, this territory was no longer called the seven-star divine realm, but was called the chaotic world of all ages. The chaotic world of all ages has undergone 3 epochs since its birth and evolution. The first is the ancient era. This ancient era is actually the era when the seven-star god realm had not collapsed. At that time, the seven-star god realm was still a part of the Taiji god realm, but because of that battle, the seven-star god realm collapsed, leaving behind ancient on the battlefield. The seven-star god realm was completely isolated by the seal formation. Since then, this territory has evolved under the operation of that law formation, and has since evolved into the first era. The first era experienced a long period of time and eventually collapsed, and then the second era, that is, the era where Jian Wushuang was. In his time, the seven-star realm was not a whole long ago, but was composed of countless elder worlds. These elder worlds are actually equivalent to the world stars in the vast universe. The operating law and evolution of the entire chaotic world of ancient times does seem to have been largely simulated in accordance with the cycle of the universe. It's just that the chaotic world of eternity just imitates a model. The supremacy of the vast universe is the law of the universe, but there is nothing in the eternal chaos world. After completely refining the seal array, Jian Wushuang also found that this territory, which is the time flow rate of the ancient chaotic world, is completely different from the outside world. The flow rate of the ancient chaotic world is much faster than the outside world, and it opens many times. Wu Jianzhou estimated that the time flow rate of the ancient chaotic world should be equivalent to 100 times the outside world. In other words, a year has passed in the early world of the gods, but in the chaotic world of all ages, a whole 100 years have passed. Time flow rate of 100 to 1? Jian Wushuang was suddenly shocked. I have been in the early world of the gods for more than 100,000 years. Then, in the chaotic world of ancient times, wouldn't it be more than 1,000 times past? Long live? More than 10 million years? At the thought of this number, Jian Wushuang was anxious immediately. For more than 10 million years, what a long period of time he has left so long, what will this eternal chaotic world become? His hometown, what about Tsinghua? I also have his parents, his relatives, his friends. Have they been there for more than 10 million years? Jian Wushuang's heart suddenly felt anxious. He didn't hesitate, he immediately looked through the heavenly will to look at the entire chaotic world of eternity. He sees everything in the chaotic world of all ages. He saw the innumerable elder world in the chaotic world of eternity, and at the same time saw the core of the eternal chaos world, where the sacred places are, where it is still the most prosperous and most powerful place in the eternal chaos world. But what makes the sword unparalleled is that the quality of the practitioners in those several holy places is indeed much higher than in other places, but the most powerful men, such as the masters of the few holy places, are called in the chaotic world of ancient times. There is no great emperor. As the most central place in the chaotic world of all ages, under normal circumstances, those who are at the level of the emperor should gather there, even if it is impossible to have all of them. At least there are a few but none of them. This is too abnormal. Where have all those great emperors gone? Baidi, Juyo, Xingzhu, Tianqian ancestor. None of them? Jian Wushuang was even more puzzled inside. He is in control of the heavenly will of the ever-changing world of chaos, and continues to look towards the margins. Soon he found the place where he was born, which is the largest ancient battlefield, and the huge, incredible head. That head is the head of his master Junyi, and in the position of the eyebrow of that head, there is the blue fire world. The green fire world was born from the essence of Shenyi's life. This skull is really too big. I once again saw the huge skull in the ancient battlefield. Jian Wushuang's heart still couldn't help but marvel. When he saw the skull for the first time, he was completely frightened, and the shock in his heart was unprecedented. But later, as he learned more about his master and became a perfect life, he subconsciously felt that as long as his strength reached the level of his master, he could also enlarge his body infinitely, and he could also have his master had such a huge body and head. But as he became more and more powerful, especially now when he is fully capable of dominating the battle, he understands that even if he is the perfect life and the strength reaches a level comparable to his master, he cannot have his division. Zun Xuanyi such an incredible deity. Because Jian Wushuang has already seen, the reason why Xuanyi's deity is so large is mainly because he has cultivated a unique mystery. Jain mysticism should be able to make your body infinite so that you can increase your combat power, and this mysticism should be from the universe battlefield. In addition, although the mystery that allows your body to be infinitely enlarged will have a certain increase in your strength, it will also have disadvantages, so for this mystery Sword Wushuang has nothing to ask for. Green Fire World. Jian Wushuang has locked his eyes on that green world. Qinghua world, that is his root. And after tens of millions of years, the Qinghua world still exists in that ancient battlefield, and because of the evolution of tens of millions of years the current Qinghua territory is significantly wider than before. It almost occupied the entire forehead of that skull. In the green world, Jian Wushuang also felt the breath of countless practitioners. There are many breaths of those practitioners, all of which he is extremely familiar with. Father, mother? Wu Jian's double body trembled. He has sensed the existence of his parents in the Qinghua world. Although it has been a lifetime, it has been tens of millions of years in the middle, but the two breaths are still familiar to him. Warm, just a little stronger than before. It's not just them. They are also the boss of Wang Yuan and the fourth child, as well as the Sword One, the King of Kings, and the high-level leaders of the Qinghua world. White Emperor. Lord Juyo, Tianqian ancestors. These great emperors, I have to lie in those sacred places. It turned out that they all came to my Qinghua world, and yes, now Qing in the fire world, the abundance of spiritual power is definitely the highest in the chaotic world of ancient times. Even if compared with the early world of the gods, the difference is not too far away. Of course, these great emperors will choose to stay here. Wu Jianshou smiled, and then he couldn't help himself anymore and went to the fire world himself. Chapter 3663. The first is here. Qinghua world, Wushuang Holy City. After a lapse of more than 10 million years, the sacred city of Wushuang is still the cultivation holy place that countless practitioners aspire in Qinghua. Huihong Manor, on the grass, two people sat on the ground. Two of them, one of them is not only a haplotype but also quite a bit plump. At first glance, it looks like a small hill fell there. Another person is a beautiful young girl wearing black clothes with a bit of weakness. This young girl looks weak, but the coldness emanating from her body is enough to make countless practitioners awe. These two are Wang Yuan and Su Rou. Boring this day, it's getting more and more boring. Wang Yuan held a hip flask in his hand and drank it there. Don't you have a chamber of commerce under your hands? The Chamber of Commerce is now the first chamber of commerce recognized in the world of chaos in the ancient times. So a huge industry will naturally have countless things. By reason you should be very busy. How could it be so boring? Su-ro looked over. You do indeed know. My Chamber of Commerce has long given it to others to manage. I usually eat, drink and have fun all day long, but all these years have passed. I'm tired of what I can play. What I want to get, I've got it for a long time. In my life I haven't pursued anything. Without it, I will be bored naturally. By the fourth, I heard that there wasn't an emperor pursuing you crazy some time ago? What happened? Wang Yuan asked. What do you say? Su-ro gave Wang Yuan an angry look. Seems you still didn't like it. Wang Yuan frowned. Yes, an emperor is indeed not qualified to be your priest, at least he must be an emperor. God Emperor. If it was placed tens of millions of years ago in the era when Jian Wushuang was still there, God Emperor is definitely the top power in the chaotic world of all ages, second only to Great Emperor, and then tens of millions of years will pass. By now, because of the relationship between the green world, there are many more powerful people born in the chaotic world of ancient times. Qiu Guang is the Great Emperor and there are a lot of them. As for the God Emperor, there are even more countless. If it was NT because of the chaotic world of ancient times, the strongest practitioners are only at the level of the Emperor, I am afraid that there will be a lot more than the existence of the Emperor. And Su-ro, as a sword brother and sister of worship, was already the top powerhouse and one of the powers in the Qinghuo world thousands of years ago, and now her strength has already reached the chaotic world of ancient times. The highest level exists, and the power in his hand is even more monstrous. A divine emperor in Liqiu district was indeed not seen by her. But my fourth child, it's been over tens of millions of years. My wife has taken hundreds of them. As for my children and grandchildren, I don't know how many generations, but you are still alone. This is a bit too lonely. In my opinion, if you have a chance, you should find someone who looks good to the eye and make it. Wang Yuan said. I heard Su Yuan's words. Su-ro looked slightly but did not speak. Suddenly Wang Yuan said, Number 4, you won't be until now, are you still waiting for number 3? I heard the title of Lao San. Su-ro's expression changed immediately. What are you talking about? I didn't say it blindly. At that time, I saw that your feelings for the third child are not as simple as those of your brother and sister, but unfortunately the third child has only regarded you as a younger sister, and he is also a dedicated person. Now that you have identified the cold princess of Datong, you will never change it again, so when your brother advises you, don't think about the third child anymore, and find someone who looks good to live. Wang Yuan Dao. My own business, I will handle it myself. Suju Dao. Wang Yuan shrugged and didn't say more on this issue but sighed lightly. It's been over 10 million years since the third man left the chaotic world of eternity, and I don't know where he is now. Well, seriously, I really missed the scene where our 4 siblings made wine and joy, but unfortunately the second child died and the third child left. Only the 2 of us are still here, living a boring day, nor know when it's had. If you think it's boring to live, tell me, I can complete you. Suju Dao. Wang Yuan could only smile dumbly. And just then, Boss Wang Yuan, the 4th child. A sudden sound of excitement sounded inside the manor. Both Wang Yuan and Su-ro's bodies shook. Wang Yuan boss? Wang Yuan's head was a little cyanotic. Because Boss Wang Yuan's entire name in the present chaotic world, only Su-ro calls him this way, and when Su-ro is in a good mood he will call him this way. But now Su-ro is in front of him, then the person who now calls him the boss Wang Yuan will be Old Third? Wang Yuan looked at the figure in front of him in amazement. Boss, really you? Su-ro also stunned. Haha, why can't you 2 recognize me? Jian Wushuang smiled. Looking at Wang Yuan and Su-ro in front of her, Jian Wushuang was also very excited. You know, these 2 are his best brother and 4 sisters. At the beginning they worshipped together, suffered together, experienced life and death together, and their relationship, even after tens of millions of years, has not weakened at all. And now I see again Jian Wushuang's heart is also full of emotion. Haha, my third son, you are finally back. Wang Yuan finally confirmed that the person in front of him was indeed Jian Wushuang, and he was also laughing and gave Jian Wushuang a bear hug immediately after dreaming. Jian Wushuang did not resist, and at the same time pulled the next old Su together. The 3 were directly held together, and Su-ro was just held by Jian Wushuang in his left arms. She was embraced by Sword Wushuang. Su-ro did not resist at all, and her face was even more shy. If you let the practitioners in the Qinghuo world see Su-ro's expression, she will be surprised because Su-ro in the weekdays, but the ice goddess recognized in Qinghuo world, is not only powerful high profile but extremely majestic. After saying a word, countless gods and emperors all had worship. And such a goddess of ice and snow, even when there is a moment of shame. Oh. I took a deep breath and the 3 swordsmen finally separated. Boss, what's going on? Where have you been all these years? Why have you been there for so long? Wang Yuanlian asked. He didn't know the specific whereabouts of Jian Wushuang. He only learned some things from Baidi and knew that Jian Wushuang was still alive, but where did they go? In fact, they didn't know much. In recent years, he and Su Ro have been extremely worried about the sword unparalleled. Chapter 3664. Hey, the second is here. They'll talk about it later. I have just returned now and haven't had time to see my parents. Jian Wushuangdo. Yes, Pepsi is the first. You should go to see your parents first, but they are not in the city of Wushuang. Wang Yuan said. I know where they are. Jian Wushuang smiled. He is now the real master of this chaotic world of eternity. He knows every move in the chaotic world of eternity. Where his parents are he certainly knows. Let us go first see my parents, Boss Wang Yuan. You will tell me the high-level powerhouses in the Qinghuo world to let them come to Wushuang Holy City. When I return I will meet them. And explain something. Jian Wushuangdo. Okay, I'll arrange it immediately. Wang Yuan nodded. Wu Jianso quickly set out to where his parents were. After the sword Wushuang left, Wang Yuan and Su Ro were still very excited. 10 millions of years, the third child, he finally came back. Wang Yuan excitedly said, the fourth child, I haven't seen a smile on your face for a long time. Today the third child returned, you smiled immediately and smiled, it's not ordinary happiness. Su Suru gave Wang Yuan a white look, but the surprise on his face couldn't be hidden anyway. Later, Wang Yuan informed the high-level powerhouses in Qinghuo world as Jian Wushuang said. Qingguoji, at the foot of a towering mountain, there is a small town named Qingshan Town. All the residents of Qingshan Town make jade for a living. The whole town is quiet and peaceful without outside disputes and killings. It seems very abrupt in the practice world where the strong are the most respected. In the town, there is a couple who have lived in this town for hundreds of years. Inside Tachijai house. Ma'am, if people in the town go to the city to sell jade again, let me go with the uncle. From our Qingshan town to the nearest town, the road is not close and the bandits are inevitable. You can take care of it with your uncle, said a young man in black about 20. Hearing the words of the young man in black, the couple in front of the table looked at each other with a smile, and the woman said, it is because of danger that I will not let you go. What? Is it because I'm too weak? But I've been training with people in the town for years, and I've developed a lot of strength and my sword skills are very good. Even the coaches in the town boast I am very talented in kendo. Now, if I encounter a bandit, there is absolutely nothing wrong with my life. Even with good luck, I can kill a few bandits. The youth in black. The daughter-in-law smiled bitterly. And the man with the stigma of Hu Jie next glanced at the young man in black and said lightly, okay, next time you go with me, it's better to go outside to see the world more, it's better to stay there all the time. This mountain is much stronger. Haha, okay, Uncle Aunt, then I'll go to practice first. After speaking, the young man in black walked out of the house happily and went to school in the town to practice. After the couple in the squatter house saw the young man in black leave, the woman sighed, Nanan, do you think this child looks like our twins? It's very similar, the same filial piety, the same dissatisfaction, not bowing to fate and working very hard, even the talent in kendo is really very good. Said the man who kept sighing hoo-hoo. This couple is really Jian Jianshuang's parents Jian Nantian and Ji Wumeng. As for the young man in black, it was a little guy named Yi Qin who accidentally rescued 10 years ago. For the past 10 years, this Yi Qin and they have been living in this small town, and they have lived a carefree life. This Yi Qin works very hard and the kendo talent is also extremely high, but he has inherent defects, which has led to continuous cultivation. Nothing. On the talent of kendo he is very high. I have seen his progress in kendo over the years. Unfortunately, this little guy cannot cultivate, otherwise I would like to accept him as a disciple. Jian Nantian Dao. Nantian, is there really no way for this little guy's constitution? Ji Wumeng asked. No way. Jian Nantian shook his head. I have been thinking of various ways in the past 10 years, and even asked the top emperors of the chaos world including Baidi, but no one was able to ask this little guy making changes. It can be said that it is almost impossible for this little guy to cultivate in the future. Well, then you really have to suffer this little guy. Ji Wumeng sighed softly. He is clearly suffering from blood and deep revenge, but he is unable to retaliate. He has been suppressing his hatred to the bottom of his heart for many years. If this continues for a long time, I'm afraid he will not be able to bear it, Nantian, or should we tell him his true identity and help him get revenge? No. Jian Nantian waved his hand directly. This little guy has a kind of indomitability in his bones. He will never bow his head easily. We now reveal his identity to him and tell him that his physique can't be changed in any way. The blow to him is absolutely unprecedented and may even cause him to collapse completely, and now we are hiding him, at least letting him have a bit of hope for himself so that he can live. As for his hatred, I will let him report it in due course. Oh, that's the only way. Ji Wuming sighed softly. Although they have only been together for 10 years, Ji Wuming Yichen really hopes because he saw the shadow of Jian Wushuang in Yichen. In this decade she almost treated Yichen as her own biological. Treated by the son. But after all, Yichen is not a sword warrior, so they hide Yichen from many things including their identity at this moment. Jian Nantian frowned suddenly. Yanji no Dream Lu Mei also clustered slightly. The two of them have sensed that a large group of people are approaching this town, and they are aggressive, and several of them still have the impression that they were the ones who hunted down Yichen. This little guy's enemies came to the door? Jian Nantian said softly. How do those people know this little guy will be in this town? Ji Wuming frowned. I don't know, but since they have already come here, then I am afraid you and I want to hide their identity in front of that little fellow. Maybe it is impossible. Jian Nantian sighed softly. Since it will be exposed sooner or later, I simply confess to the little guy today, hoping that the little guy will be stronger in the heart and able to sustain it. Ji Wuming said nothing. Soon the couple left the wooden house and came to the school ground where Yichen cultivated. Yichen was still working the school ground at the moment, but he couldn't gather a trace of spiritual power, but he gained a brute force, and the sword technique he performed was extremely good. Chapter 3665? The first is here. I can't help thinking of Schwanger when I see this little guy. Ji Wuming looked at Yichen in the school ground softly. Yeah, I don't know when Schwanger will come back. Jian Nantian also sighed. Suddenly, a figure appeared without any warning, appeared on the school ground, and appeared in front of Jian Nantian and Ji Wuming. Jian Nantian and Ji Wuming were shocked. Nantian, I seem to see Schwanger, am I dazzled? Ji Wuming dare not give up. I saw him too. Jian Nantian also widened his eyes. At the moment, Jian Wushuang appeared, looking at Jian Nantian and Ji Wuming in front of him. He felt guilt, self-blame and thought in his heart and could no longer control it. Wu Jinsho knelt down and knelt heavily on the ground of the school ground. Parents, mother, both children are back. Jian Wushuang said, his voice choked. 2 children? Are you really our 2 children? Jian Nantian and Ji Wuming have stepped forward, looking at the person kneeling in front of them even though thousands of years have passed, but the appearance of Jian Wushuang and the breath on their bodies, they can recognize it at a glance. This is indeed their son Jian Wushuang. Boy, it really is you. Jian Nantianxiang suppressed his inner excitement. Li Meng reached out and raised the sword unparalleled. Get up, let Lao Tzu take a good look. Jian Wushuang got up, while Jian Nantian and Ji Wuming kept looking at Jian Wushuang up and down. No change from before, good boy, you can let me wait with your mother. Jian Nantian finally smiled. Just come back. Ji Wuming said softly, her face was already full of tears. The family was incomplete from the beginning. In the past, it was Ji Wuming who separated from their father and son, and in order to make the family full, Jian Wushuang and Jian Nantian have put in countless efforts, especially Jian Nantian, who experienced a lifetime of death before finally killing him. Heaven was absolutely sharp and rescued Ji Wuming. After a short while, their family had a short reunion. Sun Kes good times are not long, Sword Wushuang reincarnation went to the early world of God, this go is a full 10 million years. The tens of millions of years of separation as the parents of Jian Nantian and Ji Wuming, how rich the thoughts and worries are. But now Jian Wushuang is finally back. No matter how much thoughts and worries were before, now that you are back, everything is fine. Uncle, madam? The sounded, and Yi Qin, who practiced swordplay on the school field, ran over. Jian Wushuang appeared on the school ground, and the next move has long attracted everyone's attention, including Yi Qin naturally. Is it the son you have been worried about? Yi Qin looked at Jian Wushuang. He has been with Jian Nantian and Ji Wuming for 10 years. He also often heard Jian Nantian and Ji Wuming mention Jian Wushuang. He also knew that Jian Nantian and Ji Wuming had such a son, but they left a long time ago. Went to a far place and there has been no news in these years. Schwanger, let me introduce you. This is Yi Qin, a little guy we adopted. Ji Wuming said. As the only son of uncle and uncle, they have not been around uncle and there is no news at all. You are really filial when you worry about uncle and uncle for so long. Yi Qin glanced at Jian Wushuang with a hint of reproach in his words. After living for 10 years with Jian Nantian and Ji Wuming, He also regarded Jian Nantian and Ji Wuming as their parents. He knew that his parents had been worrying about Jian Wushuang all these years. Now when he sees Jian Wushuang, he must of course blame one or two on your parents. Yi Chen, don't talk nonsense. Ji Wuming frowned. Ma'am, all that I said is true. Yi Chen said. Hearing Yi Chen's reproach, Jian Wushuang was not a little angry. He knew Yi Chen was right. I have been away for tens of millions of years and I have no news at all. Wouldn't my parents be worried? Shuang, Yi Chen's child is only 20 years old and very immature. What he said, don't care. Ji Wuming said. Relax, mother, I won't mind, and this little guy is also very interesting. Jian Wushuang smiled and took a special look at Yi Chen. Little guy, I can see that there is a very hidden thing in your body. Strong hatred. If I guessed right, you should have deep blood and hatred, and no accident people who come outside the town should come to you. People outside the town? Yi Chen's face changed. Oh, it's here. Jian Wushuang smiled and then turned to look at the void ahead. There were nearly 100 people rushing forward in the dense crowd. These nearly 100 people were almost the level of true gods. There was no one above the prince. In the eyes of Jian Wushuang, even cricket ants were not counted, but for the green world, especially to the territory where Qingshan town is located, the True is definitely a top powerhouse. Nearly 100 people are all true gods. This lineup is quite amazing. Seeing the arrival of nearly 100 people, Yi Chen's complexion immediately became difficult to look at, because he recognized at a glance that these people were the people who ruined his family and the people who were killed, including the head of the people. He has also met. Is that remnant of the Yi family in this town? Among the nearly 100 people, the head is a young man with blue hair. The blue-haired old man had a cold face, his eyes were cold with a touch of coldness, and his tone of speech also carried a high attitude. The voice was spreading throughout Qingshan town. Hearing his voice, he felt the terrible breath of these people, and many residents in Qingshan town showed their horror. They know very well that these people who are here now, I am afraid that any one of them will be able to make them fleeing. Master, right here in this town, I have already seen him, slightly, right there. There was a True who said respectfully beside the old man with blue hair, and at the same time he reached out and pointed to Yi Chen, the schoolyard below. Oh, I was there. I haven't seen it in 10 years, but I grew up a lot, but this is the same as before. I can't make any progress. Now that he has found it, he will kill him directly and take his body back. As for this town, wipe it out. Yes. The real gods behind him took command and planned to take a shot. Slow. A low-pitched noise suddenly sounded, and Yi Chen looked a little embarrassed. He raised his head and stared at the people above him, and an ascendant was rising. I have to know that this Yi Chen doesn't have any cultivation, but he can possess such killing intentions, but I can imagine how strong the hatred in his heart is. Chapter 3666. Hey, the second is here. Qing Zhong, the person you want is me. It has nothing to do with the people in this town. You let them go and I will handle it with you. Yi Chen said. Masters, this matter has nothing to do with me. My lords, please raise your hand up and let me Qingshan town. Lords, let your life go. Many residents in Qingshan town have already begged for mercy, and most of them have kneeled on the ground, asking these people to spare their lives. Only Jian Wushuang, Jian Nantian and Ji Wuming still stood there. The three of them just watched silently and didn't speak. And when he heard Yi Chen's words, the old blue-haired old man in the void was smirking. I am here to kill you by the order of Lord God, and the command of Lord God is to wipe out anyone who has a relationship with you. You have lived in this town for 10 years, and the people in this town certainly have a relationship with you. Since it matters, all of them must die. Go ahead. When the old man with blue hair ordered, the people behind him immediately left. It's time to kill. There are more than 300 people in this town, all killed, none left. Well, it hasn't been murdered for a long time, but unfortunately, all the ants will be killed this time. A cold smile sounded, and hundreds of figures dived down instantly. No. Yi Chen was anxious, his eyes were red. It doesn't matter if he dies himself, but he definitely doesn't want to affect him in a big way, and treats him like a son of Jian Nantian and Ji Wuming and everyone in the town. It's a pity that he was in a hurry, but seeing that many true gods shot above, he had no way to stop him. Suddenly. Okay. A slight word dropped, but the nearly 100 practitioners who had originally swooped down were instantly frozen in the void. The old man with blue hair, including the old one, was all in the void. Although each consciousness was still awake, they found in horror that their deities could not move at all, and even their fingers could not be moved again. What is this means? The old man with blue hair was terrified, and the nearly 100 practitioners around him were terrified one by one. Sudden changes and shock suddenly shocked everyone. In Qingshan town, more than 300 residents thought that the end was coming when they saw the people above, but the next scene happened beyond everyone's expectations, watching the assassin look like a sculpture. The inhabitants of those practitioners who were settled in the void also had cyanosis in their heads. What happened? What's wrong with this? I just seemed to hear a fixed word and then these people were settled. Is there any shocking man who can't do anything? The military and civilians talked, and at the same time, a hint of hope was burning in their hearts. What's wrong? Yi Chen also looked faint. Only the three men next to him, Jian Wushuang, Jian Nantian, and Ji Wuming, remained indifferent. Is this stasis of time and space? Just a thought can stagnate space and time and make nearly 100 true gods unable to move in the slightest. Shuang'a, your current means are really more and more incredible. Qi Jian Nantian spoke for the first time, and there was a hint of surprise in his words. You know, he is now the top powerhouse in the Qinghou world, and can even be said to be one of the top powerhouses in the entire chaotic world of eternity. His vision is also quite high in the entire world of chaotic world, but the sword is unparalleled. The methods he uses now make him feel a little incredible. Some small means. Jian Wushuang just smiled slightly. He said this is actually humble. It is not a small means to designate astrology, but it is one of the divine magic created by the divine master of time and space, but this divine magic is applied to these true god-level cultivations, and it does not show it all out of its real power. Father, mother, the little guy you adopted called Yi Chen has a pretty good heart. Jian Wushuang smiled. Of course, if you have a bad heart, I and your father will not save him 10 years ago, let alone keep him with him. Unfortunately, this child was born poor, his physique is too unique, your father thought there are countless ways to change his physique and enable him to cultivate. Ji Wuming said. His physique is very special. Jian Wushuang nodded, but then Feng turned abruptly. But there is no way to resolve his physique. Oh. Jian Nantian and Ji Wuming both looked at Jian Wushuang immediately. The conversation between the three of them was not covered at all, but was clearly heard by everyone around them. For a moment, everyone understood that the means by which the nearly 100 practitioners were frozen in the void at the same time was that these three people were on display. Uncle Mamyu. Yi Chen looked at Jian Nantian and Ji Wuming in shock. Yi Chen, your matter, I'll talk about it later, let's first get rid of these people who are in the way. Jian Nantian Dao. Qi Jian Wushuang also nodded, and immediately looked up at the nearly 100 true gods in the void. The practitioners who were frozen in the void were extremely panicked at this moment, and the young man with the head of hair was equally frightened and asked, who are you? Who are we? Ji Wuming's expression became cold. Did you just say that you would kill all the people related to Yi Chen in this town? Tell you that 10 years ago it was my couple. The two people saved this Yi Chen in the past 10 years, this little guy has always been with us, it is our adoptive son. In this town, the couple and my couple are related to him. The closest thing is, you want to kill and logically you should kill my couple first. This. The blue-haired old man agitated his throat and immediately smiled. 3 adults, this may be a bit misunderstood. I'm also waiting for the order of my adult. My adult is the purple of Bai Heiyang. Emperor, his master is the famous Mo Sui Emperor in the chaotic world of ancient times. I also hope that the 3 adults will bypass my waiting for the sake of my god. Purple Heaven Emperor? Emperor Mo Sui? Or big name? Jian Nantian disdain. He had heard of the demon emperor, but he was just an ordinary emperor, and he wasn't even considered by him, let alone the Emperor Zitian. The two people who don't even care about him, it's nothing more for Jian Wushuang. Purple Heaven Emperor, Emperor Mo Sui, isn't it? Jian Wushuang smiled indifferently, but then he grabbed his hands against the surrounding void. Walala. The void was broken directly, and then 2 ridiculous figures rolled out of the broken void. Today's birthday, ask for a wave of blessings. Chapter 3667. The first is more. Looking at the 2 figures rolling out from the broken void, the blue-haired old man was completely wiped out. Those 2 figures, one of whom he did not know, but the other he was very clear and familiar, that is his patron, which is the Emperor Zitian who he just mentioned. And the person he did not know, the breath emanating from his body was stronger than the Purple Heaven God Emperor. At this moment, the old man with green hair guessed that the 8 achievements of that man were the master of the Purple Heaven God Emperor and the great Emperor of the Water. He also mentioned separately that the 2 people who were intentionally moved out appeared in front of him in a blink of an eye, and the 2 were obviously caught here by life. Where is this? Master, are you here? What is going on? Emperor Zetian and Emperor Mo Sui, tumbling out of the broken void, are at a loss. They didn't know what was happening, they just knew that they were good. Suddenly, a big shot was taken and they caught them. Then they both appeared here, and the place where they are now is obviously different from where they were before. The gathering was extremely distant. Breaking through the void directly and catching them here from an extremely distant place is enough to make the Emperor Zetian and Emperor Mo Sui tremble. My dignified emperor, without any resistance, was caught here. This is incredible. Even if he is recognized as the strongest man in the chaotic world of all ages, he can never do this. Who is it? Oh. The magic water emperor's eyes immediately looked around. And soon he saw Jian Wushuang on the ground below. As far as Jian Nantian was concerned. When seeing Jian Nantian, the eyes of Emperor Mo Sui suddenly shrank. Jian Nantian, as one of the leaders of the Jianghu world, is also a top emperor. Of course, the Mo Sui emperor knows it. To Jian Nantian, the emperor of Mo Sui has a trace of awe in his heart, but it is just awe, but not too fearful, and he knows more or less the strength of Jian Nantian much better than him, but compared with Baidi it may be slightly weaker, and naturally it is impossible to catch here in an instant. And then he saw the existence of Jian Wushuang. When seeing the sword unparalleled, the brow of this magic water emperor immediately frowned. He felt Jian Wushuang's appearance a little familiar for the first time, but he couldn't remember when he had seen each other. Although Jian Wushuang didn't have any breath, it looked like an ordinary person at first glance, but that was it. The ordinary feeling made the Emperor of the Waters dignified. My name is Jian Wushuang, you may have heard of it. Jian Wushuang said flatly. Sword warriors? The Mo Sui Emperor looked disappointed. Sword warriors? Millions of years ago, the leader of the chaotic world of ancient times was enough to sit on an equal footing with Baidi, and even surpassed Baidi's Wushuang sword to a certain extent. Emperor? The savior of the chaotic world of all ages, the creator of the unparalleled holy city in Qinghua, the unparalleled lord of the city? Wushuang sword emperor? Savior? Wushuang city lord? Jian Wushuang smiled. When did I have so many titles? Hearing Jian Wushuang's admission, the Emperor Mo Sui couldn't help but take a breath. Anyway, he is also an emperor-level powerhouse. As one of the top powerhouses in the chaos world of Vanguard, he certainly knows something about thousands of years ago, and the chaos world in Vanguard was in a state of despair for a while. In the dilemma, there is a genius named Jian Wushuang who turned the tide and helped the chaotic world of eternity survive the crisis. And this sword unparalleled, also known as the savior of the chaotic world of eternity by the later practitioners, now millions of years later, the name of the sword unparalleled has long become a legend and myth, but the many cultivations left over 10 million years ago, the author still keeps in mind this super existence. Therefore, when Brother Mo Sui learned that the person in front of him turned out to be the legendary sword unparalleled, the shock in his heart could not be described in words. In addition to shock, the Mo Sui Emperor came immediately and was frightened. He understood that since the man in front of him was the legendary Wushuang city lord, it must have been he who had just caught himself here, and such a super existent. If there was nothing, how could he be forced to force him for no reason? Caught here? Magic Water and His Majesty's disciples, Zetian, met the Lord of Wushuang City. I do indeed know what Lord City Lord asked you to come to me. What do you tell me? Whenever my teachers and apprentices can serve, my teachers and apprentices will never quit. The great Emperor Water looks very respectful. The Emperor Zetian next to the Emperor Mo Sui was even afraid to come out. He had heard the name of Jian Wushuang. Although he didn't know much about it, but the horror power just revealed from Jian Wushuang and his respectful expression of his master at the moment, he understood that the person in front of him was not theirs. What can be provoked? Evil Lord Mo Sui, I do indeed have any grudges with you and your disciple, but just now this person said that he had served your disciple the Emperor Zetian, to kill all the people in this town death, including my parents. After I came forward to block him, he also moved the two of you out and threatened me. You said, what should I do? Jian Wushuang's voice was flat. Although Jian Wushuang did not show any anger and killing intentions, his words were heard in the ears of the Emperor Mo Sui and the Emperor Tian Tian, but it was like a thunderstorm on a sunny day. To kill the parents of Wushuang City Lord? Emperor Mo Sui only felt his head dizzy. Stupid, these stupid idiots. The Emperor Zetian growled and looked at the eyes of the blue-haired old man and others, full of shocking intentions. He wanted the green-haired old man and others to chase and kill Yi Qin and also ordered them to kill everyone who has a relationship with Yi Qin, but he didn't let these people go to provoke Jian Wushuang. Want to kill Jian Wushuang's parents? This is simply a big joke. In fact, the blue-haired old man and others were also very innocent. They did just follow the instructions of the Emperor Zetian, But they did not expect that there were a few hidden Buddhas in this town. They also want to cry without tears. At this time, the demon emperor once again said, "Master Lord, you can rest assured that I will definitely give you a satisfactory explanation." "Really? Then I wait." Jian Wushuang smiled. The magic water emperor's eyes were cold, but the next moment he shot like lightning. Naturally, he did not dare to shoot at sword unparalleled, including the residents in this town. He also did not dare to shoot, and at this moment he was shot against, and it was almost 100 old gods such as the green-haired old man. Chapter 3668. Second more. The dignified emperor is the top existence in the chaotic world of ancient times. To deal with a group of real life, it is like an elephant crushing a bunch of ants. Within a short period of time, nearly 100 true gods were beheaded and killed, none of them escaped. But after beheading those real lives, the Mo Sui emperor did not intend to stop, but instead looked at the emperor Zetian. "Master, what are you going to do?" Upon seeing the eyes of the emperor Mo Sui, the emperor Tianxian's complexion suddenly changed. "Zetian, the teacher has always been good to you, but this time your offended the Wushuang city lord. In order to eliminate the anger of the Wushuang city lord, you can only go with them." The emperor of the waters said lightly. Hearing this, the emperor Tiantian was astonished. He didn't expect that after his master had killed his men, in order to eliminate the anger of Jian Wushuang, he even planned to kill him together? "Master." The emperor Zetian just wanted to speak. "Let's die." The emperor Mas has already shot without hesitation. For Mo Sui emperor, his life is more important than anything. As for the emperor Zetian, although he is a disciple in front of his own life, he can even abandon his own son, let alone a disciple. However, just as the emperor Mo Sui was about to kill the purple emperor. "Enough," Jian Wushuang said. Hearing Jian Wushuang's words, Emperor Mo Sui immediately stopped his movements and showed respect. This little guy has a deep sea of hatred against the Emperor Zetian. The death of this Emperor Zetian will let this little guy take it later. Jian Wushuang pointed to Yi Chen next to him calmly. "Yes." Lord Mo Sui nodded respectfully. The Emperor Zetian exhaled heavily, and he glanced at Yi Chen with a slight glance at first, but soon relaxed again. He and Yi Chen indeed have deep blood and deep feuds. Yi Chen's former family is also a first-class family in the Qinghua realm. This family was uprooted by him and slaughtered the whole family. Yi Chen definitely wanted to kill him. However, what Jian Wushuang said was that he would kill Yi Chen himself, and then he would not be afraid. After all, he also knows something about Yi Chen. He was a man who was born to be mediocre and was destined to be mediocre all his life. If it weren't for Yi Chen's possession of something left by the Yi family, he wouldn't bother to hunt it down. Waste. He is not afraid of such a congenital waste even if there is a sword to support him now. "Master of Wushuang City, I wonder if I can leave now?" Emperor Mo Sui watched Jian Wushuang carefully. "Get out." Jian Wushuang waved his hand. When the great Emperor Mo Sui was approaching amnesty, he immediately turned around and left quickly, and the Purple Emperor also left at the same time. "Shuanger, are you really sure to change this little guy's physique so that he can practice?" Jianan Tianchao Jian Wushuang looked over. "Of course." Jian Wushuang smiled and his eyes finally looked at Yi Chen next to him. Yi Chen at this moment is still stunned. He hasn't returned from the shock just now, not just him but all the residents of this town. The scene that just happened was completely beyond their imagination. For a moment, nearly 100 true gods could not move. Reach out at will, and the top powerhouses such as the Emperor Zetian Emperor and the Emperor Mo Sui hundreds of millions of miles away, were arrested directly. That's a superpower at the level of God and Emperor. Although the residents of this town don't have much world, they also know that the Emperor and the Emperor are already at the top of this world. But this kind of existence, in front of the sword without double-sided, but like a newborn baby, there is no ability to resist at all. The Emperor even decisively killed nearly 100 true gods in order to wipe out his anger, and even nearly killed his disciples. This scene is too incredible for people in the town, just like dreaming. Looking at Yi Chen in the middle of sluggishness, Jian Wushuang's mouth also showed a playful smile and shouted, "Hi, wake up little guy." Yi Chen finally returned to God. He looked at Jian Wushuang in horror and asked subconsciously, "Who are you?" "I said that my name is Jian Wushuang." "It is your uncle and aunt who have been remembering their son, and the unfilial son you just said," Jian Wushuang said. Yi Chen was shocked. He just did an injustice for Jian Nantian and Ji Wuming, saying that Jian Wushuang was an unfilial son. But now, knowing Jian Wushuang's superb strength and means, he suddenly became cold. You know, this is a super powerful who respects even the power of the emperor level, and he was scolded by him? If the other person's temper is a little bit short, he may kill him with an idea. Okay son, stop teasing this little guy. It was Ji Wuming who spoke and resolved the embarrassment on the field. Yichen, you don't have to be afraid. The strength of the two children is strong, but their temper is still good. They have a broad-minded mind and they will not know anything like you. Ji Wuming laughed. Yichen was relieved, but he still did not dare to look up at the sword unparalleled. Uncle, ma'am, your identity shouldn't be that simple, right? Yichen warily. Jian Nantian smiled at Ji Wuming, and then Jian Nantian smiled and said, "Stupid boy, no matter what the identity of my couple, we are still your uncle and aunt. This will not change. You and my couple, the two have lived together for 10 years, but our couple will treat you as their biological son. Otherwise, I will not be so troubled to find a way to change your physique." Hearing this, Yichen only smiled arrogantly but followed his look. Uncle, you just mentioned my constitution many times. Is my constitution really special? Yichen's expression was also tense. He knew that he had some special constitutions, which was why he could not really cultivate. But he always thought that as long as he worked hard there was a chance to change, but now? Your physique is really special. Jian Nantian told the person he had looked for before and briefly explained the method and said, "Let us say that I have already come close to all methods. It can be said that in Jianghu, within the limits of the chaotic world, it is impossible to change your physique. Even I used to believe that in your life, you were only destined to become an ordinary person, but now that Shuang'er is back, everything is different. You guys, if you want to change your physique and become a true cultivator, then you have to ask for good pairs." Jian Nantian smiled. Chapter 3669. The first is more. None, brother Wushuang. Yichen could not help looking at Xiangjiang Wushuang. Brother? Jian Wushuang touched his nose. This Yichen was adopted by Jian Nantian and Ji Wuming, and both of them have been treated like sons and daughters in the past 10 years. It is understandable that Yichen called his elder brother. Just shout at you, I will help you with your constitution. Jian Wushuang smiled slightly. Come on, let me take a closer look. Yichen honestly walked to Jian Wushuang, and Jian Wushuang extended his right hand and touched Yichen's forehead lightly. Don't resist. Instantly, a peculiar divine power burst out from Jian Wu's hands and merged into Yichen's body, and then everything in Yichen's entire body was exposed in front of Jian Wushuang. Sure enough, it was born in a perfect vein. Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows, and a little surprised at the corner of his mouth. Born by nature? What is that? Jian Nantian looked over. Born by nature, it is a restriction imposed by Tiandao Will on him. This restriction will prevent this little guy from becoming a practitioner in his whole life, but this constitution has advantages and disadvantages. Jian Wushuang. It's good to make one person unable to practice for a lifetime, Jian Nantian frowned. Of course, because this constitution may seem terrible, but in fact, a person who can possess this constitution is definitely an incredible super genius. His talent can even make Tiandao jealous, so Tiandao will forcibly give him a heavy weight. Restrictions, but if this person is lucky and can meet the top powerhouse to lift this heavy restriction for him, then his talent will be better demonstrated. Since then, the carp has jumped into the dragon gate and skyrocketed. Jian Wushuang. Is that so? Jian Nantian was startled. Born by nature, this kind of constitution is very rare, let alone in this ancient chaotic world. Even in the world where I have been in these years, few people can have this kind of constitution. I am lucky, but I have encountered two-bit. Jian Wushuang smiled. The reason why he was able to determine that Yichen was born in an instant is because he had been in contact with a practitioner who was born in a perfect vein. His friend Shinhua Lord is a born-in-the-pulse owner, and when he and Shinhua Lord went to the demon realm, he encountered another natural-born owner, Zhao Mang, on the way. In the end, Zhao Mang was accepted as a disciple by Shinhua Demon Lord, and Zhao Mang's innate pulse was released by Shinhua Demon Lord. After lifting the natural vein, Zhao Mang showed his horrific cultivation talent, and even Jian Shuang was extremely amazed. Born by nature, such a strange physique, did not expect that even one in the ancient chaotic world appeared? Jian Wushuang couldn't help sighing. Shuang, you just said that only the top powerhouse in your world can lift this heavy restriction. Can you do it now? Jian Nantian asked. Rest assured, if I had to lift the heavy restrictions on this little guy before, it would still take some hands and feet and even collect some rare geniuses, but now, it's very simple. With a smile on his face, Jian Wushuang smiled, and a faint golden divine power rushed directly towards Yichen. This golden divine power also carries an extremely special power. This power is the will power given by the laws of the universe. The will power given by the laws of the universe more or less carried the breath of some laws of the universe. After entering Yi Chen's body, the heavy restrictions in Yi Chen's body were lifted almost instantly. Once the restriction was lifted, Yi Chen felt only his body shape. After a shock, he could sense the existence of the vast spiritual ocean around him very clearly. This is spiritual power? Yi Chen was shocked in his eyes. But Jian Wushuang's mouth turned up again. Little guy, let me help you again. As soon as the voice fell, the trace of willpower that had entered Yi Chen's body turned into action instantly. The rumbling of the sky and the earth, a horrible devouring force suddenly burst out from Yi Chen. Suddenly the surrounding void, the endless spiritual power, immediately gathered at Yi Chen at an incredible speed, but Yi Chen seemed like a huge spring eye. All the spiritual power came towards him, and was subsequently taken by him. Relentlessly devoured and absorbed. And with the crazy devouring of these spiritual powers, his breath began to skyrocket at an alarming rate. This Yi Chen was originally just an ordinary person, but just a moment of effort, this Yi Chen has already climbed to the top of the celestial master. Immediately, click. Thunder clouds rolled, the sky above them was dark, clouds were thick, and thunderstorms were already brewing. Jesus? Jian Nantian and Ji Wuming looked up staggeringly. Whenever a cultivator born in the eternal realm breaks through and becomes the realm god, he will inevitably cross the realm. Jian Wushuang had also crossed it at first, but now Yi Chen's strength has suddenly skyrocketed, even from an ordinary person to the point where he has to cross the world, and this is obviously only the beginning. Boom, click. Thunder calamity did not last long before it came directly. And Yi Chen below is still devouring the surrounding spiritual force frantically, turning a blind eye to that thunder rob. Seeing this, Jian Nantian and Ji Wuming frowned. Shuanger, this world of gods is nothing to us, but as soon as this little guy has the qualifications to practice, he can directly cross the world of gods. Can this be done? Jian Nantian asked. Father, you are too underestimated this little guy, to be precise, to underestimate his physique and potential, although I just slightly stimulated his physical potential, but no accident is enough for him instantly reach the top of the true god, and even the level of the general monarch. As for the gods in this world, for him, it is only a slight transition. How can it threaten him? Jian Wushuang laughed. You said that he could reach the top of the real life right away or even the level of gods. Jian Nanshan's eyes widened. Yes. Jian Wushuang nodded, his heart secretly booing. Cultivators with special physiques are indeed far beyond what ordinary practitioners can compare to, especially those who are born with the absolute veins like Yi Chen and Zhao Meng. They are born with natural evils and monsters. These natural evil spirits cultivate, it is as simple as eating and drinking. At the beginning, in the demon domain, the Shenhua Lord helped Zhao Meng to lift the restriction. In just 10 years, Zhao Meng leapt from an ordinary person to the level of an undead saint. What a shocking thing. Now, this Yi Chen has also inspired some potentials, but unfortunately it is in the chaotic world of eternity, a small astral world. The restrictions are too great, so he can only reach God at best level. If it was in the early world of God, this Yi Chen could ascend far more than that. End of this chapter. Chapter 3670. 3673 Sword, second more. As Jian Wushuang said, Yi Chen's ascension this time is nada at all. For Yi Chen, the gods in this world can't pose any threat at all. When the first heavy realm came, Yi Chen's cultivation has almost reached the top of the triple realm god. When the triple heaven realm god came, Yi Chenxiu had already surpassed the average true god. Therefore, this heavy realm of gods came directly to Yi Chen, not enough to tickle Yi Chen and strengthen God. Just stop. Soon the world's disaster was completely over. Yi Chen's cultivation has also reached the top level of true God, but he continues promotion. After another moment of effort, Yi Chen's breath soared again, and his cultivation went one step further, reaching the level of monarch. It was just an ordinary person just now. He didn't even master the spiritual power. Dao, at the beginning Jian Wushuang practiced from the beginning and stepped into the step by step, but it took a lot of hard work with the years, let alone countless life and death experience. But a cultivator like Yi Chen who is favored by heaven is not the same. As long as the restrictions are lifted, he immediately flew into the sky. It's no wonder that Jian Wushuang couldn't help sighing, and couldn't help but have a hint of jealousy in his heart. Finally, the swallowing power on Yi Chen slowly weakened, and the growth of his breath slowly subsided. The end of Yi Chen's cultivation is at the level of normal monarch. Call. With a spit out of stale air, Yi Chen opened his eyes and felt the majestic power that he now had, and his face appeared. Unprecedented surprise. Little guy, come here. Jian Wushuang beckoned. Yichen immediately stepped forward. How do you feel? Jian Wushuang asked. Very good, never before. Yichen looked around his body and asked, Wushuang, brother, I wonder what level I have reached now? Yichen was not a practitioner before, and he knew only a little about the realm of the practitioner, although he now has strong control strength, but he didn't know exactly where he was now. You are now a monarch. Of course, if it is in the world I have been in these years, it is chaos. Practitioners. Sword unparalleled. Is God king? Yichen could not help holding his hands. He knew what the was, and his destroyed Yi family had the gods before, and his enemies were purple gods. The emperor is nothing but the emperor. Above the emperor is the emperor. Unexpectedly, this was just a moment of effort. The gap between him and his enemy, Zichen God Emperor, had been so close. Little guy, I see you carrying a sword behind you. It seems that you are also good at swordsmanship? Jian Wushuang asked suddenly. Yes, I am good at swordsmanship. Yichen said. Shuanga, although this little guy could not become a real practitioner because of his constitution, but he worked harder than anyone else. In this decade, not only has she experienced brute force but also in swordplay some achievements. His kendo talent is very good, much better than many kendo geniuses I have seen. Even me, I dare not say that he is stronger in kendo talent. Jianan Tiandao. Father, you dare not say that kendo is better than him? Jian Wushuang was really surprised. He knew, however, that his father was an extremely rare sword spirit. That was the body of the reincarnation of the top Excalibur spirit in the astonishing battle of the destruction of Qixing Xuanzong. The sword spirit can step into the samsara on its own. This divine sword must be a very high-level cosmic treasure, and such a sword spirit the body is extremely high in kendo talent. At least, it's better than many rulers who are good at kendo's rules in the early days. Just because Jian Nantian stayed at Wan in the ancient chaotic world, his achievements would be limited if he could not contact the outside world, otherwise. But Jiandao talent is the incredible Jinanshan, saying that his kendo talent may not be comparable to this Yichen. Jian Wushuang immediately became interested. You guys take my face now and practice swordsmanship. Jian Wushuang go. Okay. Yichen nodded. Without any hesitation he started practicing swordsmanship on this school ground. In this exercise Jian Wushuang's eyes brightened. Before he met me he was an ordinary person, but his understanding of swordsmanship was so high. Father, it is difficult. Do you teach the Tao? Jian Wushuang looked to Jian Nantian. If I had only taught him that he had reached this step, then I would not be so surprised by his kendo talent. The point is that he hasn't been instructed by anyone, he is purely exploring, and he has grown to this day in the kendo step by step. Yes, 10 years ago when I rescued him he started to really touch the sword. Jianan Tiandao. No one has taught him and he has only explored it by himself. In just 10 years, his understanding of swordsmanship is so high? Jian Wushuang secretly nodded. Yes, his kendo talent is really great, but to say that his kendo talent is better than his father Yu if it is stronger, then it may not be. Jian Wushuang smiled and then waved his hand. It's okay, come on. Yichen came over again. Brother Wushuang, how is my swordplay? Yichen asked expectantly. Oh, you are also called swordsmanship? It's a joke. Jian Wushuang taunted him politely, but it was backward, taking a step back. Little guy, you're optimistic. Jian Wushuang did not pull out the sword, he put out a finger, and then slowly made a stroke towards the void in front. There is no movement, no power, not even sword intention, sword shadow, any material. On this school ground, many residents in the town are still there, and they have been paying attention to it, and they have also seen sword unparalleled wave this finger. However, in the eyes of these residents, Jian Wushuang is clearly a finger swipe without any magic, including the person who is the strongest in this town thinks the same. Even Ji Wuming was a little stunned, not knowing what Jian Wushuang was doing. Only Jian Nantian, because he is the body of the sword spirit, the moment he saw Jian Wushuang waving his finger, his eyes suddenly flashed, an unprecedented flash of brilliance. He saw the incredible disgust, the mystery. As for Yichen, at this moment he was already stunned. It wasn't until that stroke was completely dropped that Jian Wushuang had retracted his palm that he finally recovered. But after returning to God he looked blank. Chapter 3671. The first is more. Little guy, I just saw that sword, can you see clearly? Jian Wushuang looked at Yichen. Yichen shook his head subconsciously. It's normal. Who is Jian Wushuang? Even in the early days the world was already at the highest level. As for Kendo, it is even more at the level of the origin of the universe of the sword. None of this Yichen can see clearly. I have printed the sword just in your mind completely. In addition, I will give you 10 years. In 10 years, if you can understand the sword just to 1/10,000th, I will accept you as named disciple, preach your kendo, and in the future will take you to a more expansive world. But if you can't understand that sword art for 1/10 of 10 years, your achievements in this life can only stop in this chaotic world of ancient times. Sword of Wuxia. 10 years, is it just 1/10 of a comprehension? Yichen immediately rejoiced. Although he knew that the sword that Wuxia had just cast was unfathomable, but he only realized 1/1000th and he still had a full 10 years. 10 years has been a long time for him since he was only 20 years old. He was confident that he would be able to learn some of the sword art within 10 years, even more than 1/10,000th. Little guy, I advise you not to be so confident. The swordplay I just practiced, even if it is only 1/1,000th, but it is not something ordinary people can do. Jian Wuxia laughed. What he said is the fact that he just took the sword with the origin of Kendo universe, let alone the strength of that level to Yichen, even for Jian Nantian, it is an unattainable thing. In 10 years, I realized that 1/1,000th mystery is definitely a huge and difficult test for Yichen. No matter how difficult it is, I will reach it. Yichen clenched his hands. Okay, then you should work hard. When you think you have realized the mystery, come to me again. If you haven't realized the mystery within 10 years, you don't need to find me again. Jian Wuxia smiled slightly, then he suddenly received a message from Wang Yuan. Father, mother, boss Wang Yuan has sent me a message. Many of the top powerhouses in the Jianghu world and the chaotic world of eternity have now gathered in Wuxia City. I will now make some things public to the public. Come join me. The sword is unparalleled. Okay. Jian Nantian nodded with Ji Woman. Yichen, go with us too. Jian Nantian Dao. Yes. Yichen nodded. Then a group of 4 left the town directly and headed for Wuxia Holy City. The warrior's sacred city was originally a sacred place for practitioners in the Blue Fire world. The number of practitioners who stayed there all year round was very high, but most of them were those who had not yet reached the top of the field. Not many people in the world of fire and the chaotic world of top chaos stay there. But today there is a strong gathering in Wuxia Holy City. Not only are many of the top powerhouses in the Jianghu realm, but also the chaotic world of eternity. Many great emperors have already arrived here. Among them were some who had dealt with Jian Wuxia at the time, and some of his close people. For example, he experienced a life and death friend Duan Fengfeng when he was in the chaotic world of ancient times. His brother is also Shui Lingtian of Xian Yi's disciple. His disciple Lin Lan. And Mochizuki, who lived in him for a long time, came. In addition, the ancient Wang Gudong and other people also came here. In the majestic temple, a throne stands on both sides, and at a glance, there are at least hundreds of thrones. Sitting on these hundreds of thrones are the top powerhouses in the green world and the chaotic world of eternity. As for the front of the temple, there are only 2 thrones side by side. On one of them there is a man with fair skin and elegant figure. This man is Baidi. After tens of millions of years, White Emperor is still recognized as the #1 strong person in the chaotic world of Vanguard, and also the most noble one in the chaotic world of Vanguard. As for the other throne, there was no one at all, until Jian Wuxia's figure slowly emerged and finally landed on the throne, juxtaposed with Baidi. Jian Wuxia, you are finally back. Baidi glanced at Jian Wuxia. Baidi, don't come without a fool. Jian Wuxia smiled indifferently. He had a good relationship with Baidi, and later he also learned that Baidi himself was an experimental figure of his master Xuani. Like him, he had also impacted on the perfect level of life. Unfortunately, for some special reasons, Baidi Emperor has long lost the potential to become a perfect life. But those who are also valued by Xian Yi naturally have a closer relationship with each other. The seemingly wandering conversation between Jian Wuxia and Baidi made hundreds of top powerhouses from the Jianghu world and the chaotic world of eternity heard on the throne below, and immediately discussed. That man is swordless? It is rumored that the sword Wuxia saved the chaotic world of waters and fires thousands of years ago. Many people said that he was the savior of the chaotic world of ages, and his strength was said to have been recognized at the time. After tens of millions of years, I do not know what level his strength has reached. It is estimated that it will not be weaker than Baidi, but if it is stronger than Baidi, it is not known. Most people are talking about Jian Wuxia's strength, and most of them compare Baidi and Jian Wuxia. Many people think that Jian Wuxia was once a super genius. Before he disappeared, his strength was not much weaker than that of Baidi. Now he will return after 10,000 years of disappearance. The strength is definitely stronger, and it should already be comparable to Bai Emperor, may even be stronger than Baidi. Of course, These are just some of the sword warriors who know a lot, or they are practices that have survived from millions of years ago to the present. But there are still a lot of people on the field. They are people who have only grown up in these millions of years. Because of the improvement of the cultivation environment in the Qinghua world in these 10,000 years, many geniuses were born in the chaotic world of ancient times, and naturally many powerful people were created. Nearly half of the hundreds of strong men present have grown up in these 10 million years. They did not live in the era where Jian Wushuang was originally. Even when they grew up, they only heard about Jian Wushuang. Some legends stop. After all, legends are not seen with their own eyes, so there will be some doubts. For example, many people have questioned Jian Wushuang. End of this chapter. Chapter 3672. Little guy, did you see what I just did? Jian Wushuang looked at Yi Qin. Yi Qin shook his head subconsciously. It was normal. Jian Wushuang was the top existence in the divine beginning realm. As for sword principle, it was at the level of the origin of the sword universe. The swordsmanship he displayed, even if it was just a casual display, it was not something that a little guy like Yi Qin could see clearly. I have completely imprinted that sword in your mind. In addition, I will give you 10 years. Within 10 years, if you can comprehend 1,000th of that sword skill, I will take you as an in-name disciple and teach you sword principle. In the future, I will also take you to explore the wider world. But if you can't comprehend 1,000th of the swordsmanship in 10 years, then your achievements in this life will be limited to this eternal chaotic world, Jian Wushuang said. 10 years, just 1,000th of the swordsmanship? Yi Qin was immediately delighted. Although he knew that Jian Wushuang's sword was unfathomable, it was only 1,000th of the swordsmanship, and he still had 10 years. 10 years was a long time for him, who was only 20 years old. He was confident that he would be able to comprehend some of the swordsmanship within 10 years, or even more than 1/10,000th. Little guy, I advise you not to be so confident. The swordsmanship I just displayed, even if I only comprehended 1/10,000th of it, is not something an ordinary person can do, Jian Wushuang said with a smile. What he said was the truth. His sword just now contained the universe origin of sword principle. That level of power was unattainable even for Jian Nantian, let alone Yi Qin. In 10 years' time, comprehending 1/10 of a profound mystery was definitely a huge and extremely difficult test for Yi Qin. No matter how difficult it is, I will definitely achieve it. Yi Qin clenched his hands. Alright then, work hard. When you feel that you have comprehended some profound mysteries, you can look for me. If you haven't comprehended any profound mysteries within 10 years, there's no need to look for me again. Jian Wushuang smiled faintly. At this moment he suddenly received a message from Wang Yuan. Father, Mother, Boss Wang Yuan has sent me a message. Many top experts from the Green Fire world and the Eternal Chaotic world have gathered in Wushuang City. I'm going to go over now and announce some things to the public. You guys should come too. Jian Wushuang said. Jian Nantian and Ji Wuming nodded. Yi Qin, you should come with us, Jian Nantian said. Yes. Yi Qin also nodded. Then the four of them left the small town and went to the Wushuang Saint Realm. The Wushuang Saint Realm was originally a saint realm for cultivators from the Green Fire world. There were many cultivators who stayed there all year round, but most of them were not at the top yet. They were cultivating with the help of the cultivation resources of the Wushuang Saint Realm. As for the top experts in the Green Fire world and the Eternal Chaotic world, not many people stayed there. However, today the Wushuang Saint Realm was filled with experts. Not only were there many top experts in the Green Fire world, but there were also many ruler existences in the Eternal Chaotic world who had rushed here. Among them were some people who had interacted with Jian Wushuang before, as well as some people who were close to him. For example, his good friend Duan Ling Feng, who had gone through life and death together when he was adventuring in the Eternal Chaotic world. His senior brother was also Xue Ling Tian, a disciple of Xian Yi. His disciple was Lin Lan. There was also the Full Moon Gu King, who had once lived in his body for a long time. In addition, the ancient god clans Gu Tong King and the others had also come here. In the towering and majestic divine hall, throne after throne stood on both sides. At a glance, there were at least several hundred thrones. These several hundred thrones sat the top experts of the Green Fire world and the Eternal Chaotic world. As for the front of the divine hall, there were only 2 thrones lined up side by side. On one of the thrones, there was a white-skinned man with a graceful figure. This man was none other than the White Emperor. After tens of millions of years, the White Emperor was still recognized as the #1 expert in the Eternal Chaotic world. He was also the most exalted existence in the Eternal Chaotic world. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. As for the other throne, It was originally empty until Jian Wushuang's figure slowly appeared and finally landed on the throne, standing side by side with the White Emperor. Jian Wushuang, you're finally back. The White Emperor glanced at Jian Wushuang. White Emperor, how have you been? Jian Wushuang smiled indifferently. He had a good relationship with the White Emperor. Later he learned that the White Emperor was an experimental figure of his master, Xianyi. Like him, he had been striving for the perfect life level. Unfortunately, due to some special reasons, the White Emperor had long lost the potential to become a perfect ruler. However, since they were both valued by Xianyi, they were naturally closer to each other. The seemingly leisurely conversation between Jian Wushuang and the White Emperor was heard by the hundreds of top experts from the Green Fire world and the eternal chaotic world on the throne below. They immediately began to discuss. That person is Jian Wushuang? It's rumored that Jian Wushuang saved the eternal chaotic world from fire and water tens of millions of years ago. Many people said that he was the savior of the eternal chaotic world. It's also said that his strength was recognized at that time and he was not weaker than the White Emperor. Now that he has disappeared for tens of millions of years, I wonder what level his strength has reached. I don't think he's weaker than the White Emperor, but I don't know if he's stronger than the White Emperor. Most of the people were talking about Jian Wushuang's strength, and most of them compared the White Emperor to Jian Wushuang. Many people thought that Jian Wushuang was once a super genius who was not much weaker than the White Emperor before he disappeared. Now that he had returned after tens of millions of years, he must be stronger and should be able to completely rival the White Emperor. He might even be stronger than the White Emperor. Of course, this was only because he knew more about Jian Wushuang, or because he had lived from tens of millions of years ago until now. However, there were still many people on the field who had only grown up during these tens of millions of years. Because of the improvement of the cultivation environment in the Green Fire world during these tens of millions of years, many geniuses were born in the eternal chaotic world, which naturally created many experts. Nearly half of the hundreds of experts present had only grown up in the past tens of millions of years. They did not live in the era where Jian Wushuang was from. Even if they had grown up, they had only heard some legends about Jian Wushuang. After all, they had not seen the legends with their own eyes, so there would be some doubts about them. For example, many people now had doubts about Jian Wushuang. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 3673. The first is more. Jian Wushuang, are you saying that our eternal chaotic world has been separated from that early world of gods? Bai Di looked at Jian Wushuang. Yes. Jian Wushuang nodded. Due to the existence of the resealable formation, the divine realm was completely isolated from the chaotic world of the ancient times, which led to the gradual decline of the chaotic world of ancient times. Even those powerful ones left from ancient times, or they can only be forced to fall asleep, but they cannot leave the world at all, and if they want to change the situation they must lift the resealable formation. Sword unparalleled, since you can return to the chaotic world of ancient times from the beginning of the world, then there must be a way to lift the seal circle? Baidi asked. I naturally have a way to lift the seal, but I wouldn't do it. Jian Wushuang shook his head and said, there is no concealment. The existence of this heavy seal is extremely special, and now I have changed that the reseal array was completely refined, and even the chaotic world of ancient times was refined into my secret world. In this case, I can't lift this resealed circle again, but I can leave a passage to the early world of God. In the future, all practitioners in the chaotic world of ancient times will meet certain conditions and will through that channel, you can enter the Taizhou divine realm by yourself. Baidi nodded secretly. Although Jian Wushuang did not directly lift the seal array, as long as there is a channel connecting the Taichu world, the practitioners of the ancient chaotic world can enter the Taichu world normally, and that's enough. By the way, you just said that after you refine that seal formation, even the entire chaotic world of eternity has become your secret world. What does this mean? Baidi asked, puzzled. It means that the chaotic world of eternal chaos is completely within my control. To be precise, that is me now. It can be said that it represents the heavenly will of the chaotic world of eternal chaos. All the rules, the order of heaven, are under my control. Jian Wushuangdo. What? Baidi was startled. Hundreds of practitioners on the throne below were scared when they heard Jian Wushuang's words. The sword is unparalleled, which is equivalent to the will of heaven in the chaotic world of all ages. These practitioners of the chaotic world of eternity have always been in awe of the will of heaven and earth in the underworld, because that kind of power is out of their reach at all, but what Jian Wushuang said now, he became eternal chaos. The heavenly will of the world, in the eyes of everyone present, is simply incredible. Jian Wushuang, are you telling the truth? Baidi was unbelievable. Of course it is true and I will certainly prove it. Jian Wushuang did not explain too much, but waved his hand directly. In an instant the world changed. The people who were originally in the hall of Wushuang Holy City have come to the vast expanse of darkness in the next moment. Darkness. Are we in darkness? It's really dark emptiness. With a wave of your hand, we silently take us into the dark emptiness. What does this mean? In the horror of the crowd, Jian Wushuang raised his hand again. He pointed slightly towards the dark void in front. Ning. The word fell and the special power in the dark moment came. This power, representing the heavenly will of the eternal chaotic world, represents the order and rules of this world, and descends directly into this vast void. Then, under the guidance of Jian Wushuang, an elder world began to nurture slowly and quickly evolved. Under normal circumstances, the time it takes for an ancient world to grow up from its incubation to full growth is extremely long, but now under the guidance of Jian Wushuang, this ancient world is evolving at an incredible speed. It takes only a moment to work completed the early pregnancy. An extremely complete elder world just appeared in front of the crowd in this way, and within that elder world practitioners have begun to be born. These scenes shocked the hundreds of practitioners who could not speak. Many people, seeing this scene, subconsciously think that this is illusion, they are silently caught in the illusion, but soon after their perception becomes clearer, even after a brief contact with the ancient world before they understand. This is not a fantasy but a real existence. Jian Wushuang, just a thought, will directly form a complete eternal world. There is also the power that came from the dark world when condensing eternity. All of this has been proven that what Jian Wushuang said before is true. He now really has complete control of the chaotic world of eternity, and his will is equal to the heavenly will of eternal chaos. He is the heavenly way of the chaotic world of all ages. The sword is unparalleled. I didn't expect that, but in millions of years, you have reached such an incredible level, directly refining the chaotic world of eternity, and controlling the order of heaven and earth in the chaotic world of eternity, alas. Baidi looked at Jian Wushuang and couldn't help but admire. If you are not mistaken, you who can control the heavenly order of my eternal chaos world, even if you are in the early world of God, you must already be the top powerhouse. Jian Wushuang smiled slightly. It was the default. Sure enough. Baidi sighed but followed straightforwardly. You just said that we'll leave a passage to the Taichu world so that practitioners in our ever-chaotic world can enter the Taichu world in the chaotic world of ancient times. In addition to our native practitioners, there are also those sleeping ancient strongmen. As soon as your channel is opened, those ancient strongmen will certainly be alarmed. That is of course. Although the cultivation conditions in the chaotic world of ancient times have been improved much more than millions of years ago, they are still incomparable compared to the early world of the gods. Those ancient strongmen are forced to sleep here. Once they have a chance to return to the early divine realm, they will surely grasp it. When the passage to the early divine realm is opened, those ancient strongmen are expected to wake up. Jian Wushuangdo. If this is the case, then you have to be careful. After all, those ancient strongmen are all very capable if they all wake up in one breath. If they can keep the rules, but if they don't, that is definitely a disaster for our eternal chaotic world. Baidi frowned. Although he has been recognized as the #1 power in the chaotic world of ancient times, he knows how terrible those ancient powers that are sleeping in the world of chaotic world, and Baidi has always been jealous of those ancient powers. End of this chapter. Chapter 3674. Second more. Jian Wushuang also knew why Baidi was so afraid of those ancient strong ones. The chaotic world of thousands of years ago was almost destroyed in the hands of those ancient strong. Of course, that is mainly the strong left over from the original 3 sacred camps, but the people left by the 7-star Xuanzong will not threaten the chaotic world of eternity. After all, the chaotic world of eternity was evolved from the original 7-star realm. Rest assured, since I can open the channel of the world in the early days, naturally there are ways to restrain those ancient strongmen who have awakened. With me they will not mess up. Jian Wushuang said with absolute confidence. He is indeed confident. No matter whether it is the strongmen left by Qixing Xuanzong or those left by the 3 sacred camps, he doesn't need to care now. Not to mention this is the chaotic world of ancient times. The strength of those ancient strong will be greatly suppressed. Even in the early world of God, let their strengths reach their peak, Jian Wushuang can still suppress them easily. If it is the only one that is more troublesome, I'm afraid that one will exist. Baidi, let's meet the ancient strongmen together. Jian Wushuang smiled and followed the big hand again. The world changed, and everyone in the dark and empty space came to a huge ancient battlefield in a blink of an eye. This ancient battlefield is exactly the giant Sake battlefield where the Jianghu world lies. In recent years, as the spiritual power of the blue fire world began to recover rapidly, this ancient power has more and more aura, which has led to the ancient powers who have fallen asleep all over the chaotic world of ancient times. Here, the number of ancient strongmen who are now sleeping on this ancient battlefield can be very large. All of you 7-star Xuanzong, wake up. Jian Wushuang overlooked the ancient battlefield below, but spoke softly. His voice was casual but with a transcendent will. It spread at an alarming rate. This ancient battlefield, and even the entire chaotic world of eternity, a large number of those who belong to the 7-star Xuanzong camp that have been left over from the World Extinction War, have been sleeping here. No matter how long they sleep, no matter what their current state is, they are extremely clear heard this voice, and at the same time they felt the transcendent will. Suddenly, those powerful men who had fallen asleep in this ancient battlefield and even the entire chaotic world of the 7-star Xuanzong were awake. Sky and earth shook in succession. An ancient and majestic atmosphere rises from all corners of the ancient chaotic world, especially on this ancient battlefield where the Jianghu world is located. Hundreds of high-level strong men in the sword chaos, Baidi, and the chaotic world of ancient times all gathered in the void of this ancient battlefield. At this moment they could very clearly sense the tremors from the surroundings, making them tremble. A terrifying breath to suffocate. These breaths, any one of them, gives the feeling of being unstoppable. Most of these hundreds of practitioners in the chaotic world of eternity, even as the emperor, are now trembling. Even those the emperors who have reached the top level are already trembling. Even though it was Baidi, his complexion was terrible. There was only Jian Wushuang who noticed the rising atmosphere, and his face had a faint smile from beginning to end. The towering figures rushed over from all corners of the ancient battlefield. But in the blink of an eye, there are already hundreds of ancient strongmen who have arrived here, and they are still increasing. Half an hour has passed, the number of these ancient strongmen has exceeded 400, and there have also been some figures that Jian Wushuang has seen. Such as Soul Sage, Snake Flower Mother-in-Law, Ice Fire Sage, Reckless Old Man, Pretty Emperor. These people but all helped him at the beginning. Among them there is a star. Who am I? It turned out to be you. Yixing Wang immediately saw Jian Wushuang in front of him, and immediately understood that it was Jian Wushuang who awakened them, and he couldn't help but play a hearty laugh. 1 star, long time no see. Jian Wushuang also smiled slightly. 1 star, he once had a life-saving favor for him and also gave him a chance. Although the strength of this star is no longer in front of him, but that kindness, Jian Wushuang has been anxious. Therefore, Jian Wushuang's attitude towards 1 star is naturally different. This time we are awake, there are a lot of people. Except for the top ones, most of them are here. 1 star looked around the void. Well, in the first battle the casualties were too severe. The strong men left by my 7-star Emperor Xuanzong were few, and in this world, there were endless years of deep sleep. Among them, more than 90% of the strong people were in the long the years of sleep have died, or they can never wake up again, and now we can be awakened, only us. Shihua mother-in-law said. Little guy, do you wake us up this time? Is there anything that can't be done with our help? Yixing Wang looked at Jian Wushuang. Not in a hurry, wait until those people come. Jian Wushuang said. 1 star and others nodded secretly and were not in a hurry. Anyway, in this ancient battlefield, the spiritual power is still strong. Even if they don't sleep, they can stay for a long time. And waiting for everyone, soon there were 9 people who seemed to be negotiating and came side by side. Seeing these 9 people coming side by side, the star and mother-in-law who came before immediately showed respect. When Jian Wushuang saw these 9 people, a smile appeared on his face. These 9 people he have all met. 8 of them were the 8 strong men who had been awakened by Shen Yi to give him great help. At the time, Jian Wushuang didn't know how powerful these 8 were, but now they can be seen at a glance. Already. These 8 people are all the masters of the rules, and 3 of them are still very strong among the masters of the rules. As for one other person, a white robe with fair skin and a warm face like Wenyu, was extremely indifferent. There was no emotion between the eyes and he didn't stand in front of him. The 8 rulers faintly led him. And at the moment of this person's arrival, Jian Wushuang immediately felt a shocking sword meaning from the other side. That sword meaning was not only horrible but most importantly, it could also trigger the origin of Kendo universe. And in the whole kingdom of God in the beginning of the early days, the 4th stage of Kendo achievement was reached, and only one person was able to move the origin of Kendo universe except him. Emperor 10s. 2 more arrived today. Chapter 3675. The first is more. Jian Wushuang can sense the shocking sword meaning hidden in Emperor 13, and Emperor 13 can also feel the sword meaning hidden in him. When you left this world you just got started in Kendo, but now Kendo you have such a powerful sword in your body. No accident, you should have taken that step only right. Emperor 13 looked at Jian Wushuang. Of course, Jian Wushuang knew what step Emperor 13 said, and he couldn't help laughing. I went to the universe battlefield and I had a special opportunity, so I was able to take that step. Yes, before me, of course, the Lord of the Gods rule in the early days, of course no one could take that step on Kendo. I was the first, and you wonder if it was the second? Emperor 13 asked. He slept for too long in the chaotic world of ancient times. He didn't know what happened in the pre-God world. Naturally, it wasn't clear whether the pre-God world had any other Kendo genius in these years. The origin of the universe. Should not. Jian Wushuang shook his head. In this way you are the master of the rule of the gods in the early days. The only person in Kendo who is qualified to be comparable to me, sword is unparalleled. I would like to teach you the sword skills now. Emperor 13. I also want to teach you swordsmanship, but now I am not in a hurry. After all, there are too many restrictions in this realm, and your power can't be fully exerted. You still have to go to the beginning of the world. You and I will try again. The sword is unparalleled. Going to the divine realm? Emperor 13's expression moved. The 8 rulers behind him, as well as the top undead saints such as Yixingwing and mother-in-law of Snake Flower, immediately looked at Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang, you will wake me up this time. Couldn't find a way to leave this world? Emperor 13 asked. Yes. Jian Wushuang nodded his head, and then stared suddenly into the void around him. Is that finally here? With the murmur of Jian Wushuang's soft murmur, in the vast expanse of surrounding space, there was a rush. The space was broken like a piece of paper. A huge space passage emerged out of thin air, followed closely by a silhouette of a mighty shore stepping out slowly. This is a tall, handsome, dark-haired man. He has a beautiful face and is more enchanting than the average woman. His narrow eyes are like the ocean and calm, and he holds a slap on his right shoulder. Sized golden dragon turtle. After he stepped out of the space channel, a transcendent breath slowly diffused, and the entire world around him was completely silent. This person also instantly became the focus of everything in the world. Seeing the coming people, the strong men of the 7-star Xuanzong and even Emperor 13 all showed their respectfulness immediately. Meet Lord Gong. 7-star Xuanzong, everyone respectfully saluted. Shen Yen, one of the 3 masters of Qi Xing Zongzong during the peak period, is also the master of Qi Xing Zongzong's punishment of the Heavenly Palace. At the time of the World War I, the 3 main powers of the 7-star Xuanzong died, and Shen God escaped, and the Shenshin escaped, and lurked in the early world of the gods. In these years he continued to accumulate power and created a huge star palace. The divine punisher, Shen Yen, was left behind with the strong men of the 7-star Xuanzong, staying in this world and has been sleeping. When Jian Wushuang was wandering in the chaotic world of ancient times, the first 7-star Emperor Xuanzong to be in contact with him, except for his master, was this mysterious inflammation. At that time he inadvertently broke into the sleeping place of Shen Yen, and he also saw a deep sleep. Shen Yen. Of course, there is the golden dragon turtle on the shoulder of Shen Yen. The golden dragon turtle now looks only the size of a slap, but Jian Wushuang is very clear. It is a horse of Shen Yen. Its real size is comparable to a huge one. Mountains. This time sword warriors awakened all the strong men of the 7-star Emperor Xuanzong, and of course Shen Yen would also be awakened. Mr. Shen Yen, hello. Looking at Shen Yen in front of him, a smile appeared on Jian Wushuang's face. You are the little guy that Shen Yi sees? Shen Yen glanced at Jian Wushuang. At first Shen Yi took a lot of effort even with the help of this person and others before sending your soul into reincarnation channel, entering the early world of God. Why are you back now? And the breath on your body? Zuanyan's eye pupils shrank slightly. He is dominated. Although he is still in the weakest stage and his strength cannot be exerted at all, he is still keenly aware of the breath. He can see at a glance that Jian Wushuang has reached the level of the ruler. And it is not just the ruler of general rule. It seems that you have had some special opportunities and fortunes in these early years of the divine realm. Shen Yan's voice was dull. The person who awakened this seat is also you, let's say, awaken this seat. Why is that? Mr. Shen Yan, I awaken you and the 7-star Xuanzongs today to tell you that I will soon open a passage to the Taichi God realm, so that you can return to the Taichi God realm and let everyone is back to its peak strength. Jian Wushuangdo. Can you open the way to the Taichi God realm? Shen Yan looked. Xian Yi's seal formation was costly at first, even if there were so many strong in the three sacred camps. At all costs, there is no way to open the channel that the two circles saw. You can? Xian Yin with a hint of doubt. Not only him but also the powerful men of Qixing Xuanzong. Even though you can rest assured, I naturally have a way to open that channel, but after that channel is opened, I hope you can obey my arrangements. Leave here as soon as possible. Jianwu Shuangdo. Boy, you just said you want to obey your arrangements? Zuanyan's eyes froze. The powerful men of Qixing Xuanzong were shocked to see the change in Zuanyan's look. They are very clear about the temper of this punishing the palace master, the three main dominating powers of Qixing Xuanzong. This punishing the palace master Xian Yin is the most temperamental and the most irritable one. Because of this, he will be the punishment palace master is responsible for various punishments in Qixing Xuanzong. At the same time, the divine master of the palace is extremely arrogant and has a large frame, which is difficult to get along with. This can be seen from the name he has been complaining about for a long time. And so difficult to get along with, the big man and the dignified master, now that he wants the Xian Yin to obey his arrangements? This sentence alone, to these people of Qixing Xuanzong, seems to have annoyed the Xian Yin palace lord. Sure enough, the Xian Yin palace took the initiative to be angry. Chapter 3676. 3679 Sword, second more. Boy, you forcibly awakened this seat from your deep sleep, and then you saw this seat and did not see you kneeling or doingly, that's all. This seat is for Zuanyi's sake, and I don't want to care about you as a junior, but now you are so surprised still want to obey your arrangements? What a joke. Xian Yin Meiyu with a hint of coldness. It seems that you, like your master Zun Xian, are so self-righteous, but Xianyi is dead. Can't teach you. This book represents Xuanyi today, so come to discipline you. As soon as the voice fell, the body of Xian Yin immediately had large white flames. These white flames contained the terrifying temperature. The moment it rose, immediately burned the void frantically, breaking up the surrounding void. Come on. And this white flame is still spreading wildly, already spreading towards the void where Jian Wushuang is located. Seeing these white flames, those practitioners of Qixing Xuanzong showed horror. As for the so-called great emperors in the chaotic world of all ages, even the white emperor is pale at the moment. The white flame was too scary to them. Even if it's just a little escape, I'm afraid it's enough to easily burn them to ashes, let alone this big blockbuster, a wave of flames like waves. But in the face of this white flame, Jian Wushuang just smiled slightly. Off. A simple word spit out, and the terrifying power of time was covered. This power is not only the power of Jian Wushuang's own power, but also after he has refined this eternal chaotic world, here the heavenly will power that the world possesses. Boom. Under the impact of might, the white flame rushing like a tide, like an encounter with a nemesis, was instantly extinguished. In a blink of an eye, these white flames had disappeared, and the mighty power sweeping out of Jian Wushuang was as full of the surrounding void, covering the entire person of Xian Yin. Even if Xian Yin is a strong leader, but at this moment his state was there, and in the face of this mighty impact there was no room for resistance. He stood there trying to use power, and as soon as his power rose, he was immediately filled with willpower to ruthlessly annihilate. This scene made him look extremely ugly. Mr. Xian Yin, you may not know yet. The reason I was able to return here from the beginning of the divine realm was because I had already refining this world completely and calling it my own heaven and earth. Even the formed heaven and earth will of this world is under my control. Now I, in this realm, is absolutely omnipotent. Since you are in this realm, you will naturally suffer. I am bound. In this world, I am the sky, even if your strength is at its peak, but as long as you come here, I still can suppress you easily. I hope you understand. Sword unparalleled. You have completely refined this world and refined it into your own world? Even though it was Xian Yin, she was quite shocked when she learned about it. The powerful men of Qixing Xuanzong were also shocked. You know, although this world is now called the ancient chaotic world, it used to be the most prosperous 7-star in the early world of God. Domain. This sword is unparalleled, refining the 7-star divine realm into its own secret world? It seems that this seed is looking down upon you. Xian Yin narrowed his eyes and stared at Jian Wushuang. Mr. Xian Yin, please rest assured, as long as you obey my arrangements, I guarantee that you can enter the early gods smoothly. Industry, and within a short period of time, strength can be restored to its peak. Sword unparalleled. What guarantee do you take? Xian Yin looked over. It's very simple. Jian Wushuang smiled but then turned over and a sign appeared in his hand. With the influx of divine power, a hazy figure rose slowly among the symbols. Xian Yan, Emperor 13, and all of you haven't seen you for a long time. A loud voice came out of the shadowy shadow. Xian Xin. Xian Yan clearly saw the shadowy figure, and her body suddenly shocked. Metropolitan? The people of Qixing Xuanzong were shocked at first, but followed Kiki's salute. Meet the Lord. Let's get up. Xian Xin waved his hand and everyone from Qixing Xuanzong stood up. Xian Yan, look at your dissatisfied look. Is it possible that you just did something with Tianhou Xiaoyu? Xian Xinrao looking at Xian Yan with interest. Xian Yan sank and did not answer. And he didn't answer, naturally it was the default. Haha, you really fought with Wushuang Xiaoyu. Xian Xin laughed immediately. Xian Yan, I didn't say it, it's been so many years, your self-exalted temperament has not changed, and you have nothing to do with the strength of Tianhou Xiaoyu. No, you dare to fight with Tianhou Xiaoyu? What do you mean? Xian Yan looked over. To tell you the truth, Duanti look at Tianhou Xiaoyu. Now he is only a ruler but he is the same as Xian Yi. In this way they are perfect levels of life. Although they are only the masters of rules, their combat power is by no means weaker than ordinary masters. Tianhou Xiaoyu has had some big chances these years, and his strength is already comparable to higher masters. In the whole world of the beginning of the gods, except that there is hope that Zhu Tian can compete with him, like us the master is not his opponent, and your strength is worse than mine. You have been in the 7 stars gods these years. Sleeping inside, I'm afraid there is no chance of improvement, let alone you are still in a weak stage. At this time, how dare you take the initiative to challenge Tianhou Xiaoyu? Well, thankfully Tianhou Xiaoyu is your own person. It's a change of someone else, I'm afraid you're dead. Xian Xin smiled brightly. After listening to the words of Xian Xin, Xian Yan was a little cyanotic. Qixing Xuanzong's crowd looked at Xiang Jianwushuang one by one. The sword unparalleled in front of him already has the combat power of a higher master? Xian Xin, what you just said is true? Xian Yan is still incredible. Of course, how can I lie to you? Xian Xin sneered. This is still before, now Tianhou Xiaoyu has refined the 7-star divine realm into his own heaven and earth mystery, and has attracted the universe. The law came down in person, and he definitely got more benefits. His current strength has already reached a higher level. At what level I don't even know, but what is certain is that he was absolutely invincible in the early world of God. Yes, as far as the 7-star God realm is concerned, he is even more equivalent to heaven. You dare to provoke him in this 7-star realm. I don't know where you came from. Chapter 3677. Wandao Sword Master, the first is more. Mysterious Shinto people speak casually as if they are joking. However, hearing these words in Xian Yan's ears undoubtedly caused a violent wave in his heart. In the early days of God, absolutely invincible? Xian Yan is very clear about the weight of this sentence. It also has a perfect level of life, and it can also be comparable to the master at the level of the rules master. So it seems that the plan that Xuanyi originally set out was really successful? Xian Yan's heart is full of incredible. He knew how crazy Xian Yi's original plan was, how incredible. At first he did not think that the plan could be successful, nor did he think that Qixing Xuanzong really had a chance to turn around, but now, seeing the sword in front of him, he had to admit that Xuanyi's plan was indeed successful. Xian Yi cultivated Jian Wushuang, a finished one that could replace him and even surpass his successor. In the early days, the world and their 7-star Xuanzong also had the opportunity to fight again because of the existence of Jian Wushuang. Taking a deep breath, Xian Yan raised his head again and looked at Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang, this seat apologizes for what I just said. I admit that you are qualified to sit on an equal footing with me, and now that you have been trained by this profession, in this world, I will obey your arrangements. Then there is Mr. Shenyan Luo. Jian Wushuang smiled slightly. He didn't like this Shenyan, but he didn't dislike it. After all, although Shenyan was a bit domineering and unreasonable, after all, he was the master of the 7-star Xuanzong who was in the World War I, also worked a lot. In addition, he had the favor of the golden dragon and tortoise on Shenyan's shoulder when he was wandering in the chaotic world of ancient times. In view of this, Jian Wushuang is still willing to communicate with Shenyan normally. Now that Mr. Shenyan has agreed, I will arrange it. Jian Wushuang's eyes glanced at the many powerful men in the 7-star Xuanzong. After seeing Shenshin and knowing the mighty strength that Jian Wushuang has now, these strong men were all convinced. After all, this world is derived from the 7-star divine realm. It can be said that it is of great significance to all of you. Although you have been sleeping in these years, you are still nostalgic about this world, so I will give you 10 time of year. In this decade you can walk around in this realm as long as you do not wantonly to slaughter. I will not bother. After 10 years, I will directly open the channel with the world in the early days. At that time, the 7 stars, all the strong men left by Xuanzong must leave. Jian Wushuang's words were somewhat commanded. There is nothing he can do. Although he knows that the 7-star divine realm is actually the place of the powerful men such as 7-star Xuanzong, but this world has been refined by him to become a secret world of his heaven and earth. There is a complete cycle of heaven and earth in this secret world, but just a small loop. In this case, the chaotic world of today's eternal world cannot tolerate these 7-star Xuanzong strong. If these 7-star Xuanzong strong stay here, first of all, their own strength cannot be recovered at all, and they can only fall asleep. At the same time, because of their existence, it will have a great impact on the heavenly cycle in this world. Not to mention just in the heaven and earth aura in the long years, most of the heaven and earth aura in the ancient chaotic world were actually absorbed by these ancient strongmen. Even if they are sleeping, they must ensure that they can absorb enough heaven and earth aura to be able to continue to sleep. Therefore, the practice environment in this field will become worse and worse. Until now, because of the law circle left by Xian Yi, there was slowly room for re-upgrading. However, these strong men left by the 7-star Emperor Xuanzong must not continue to stay here. After 10 years we will all leave, but I don't know where the space passage is? Xian Yin asked. Just in my sacred city of Wushuang, I'd like to invite you to come here in advance. Jian Wushuang said. Can? Xian Yin nodded, followed by a wave, and had crushed the void and left. As for the powerful men of Qixing Xuanzong, most of them bowed slightly towards the sword and then all left. After the departure of the many powerful men of the 7-star Emperor Xuanzong, Jian Wushuang looked at those emperors in the chaotic world of ancient times. 10 years later, the passage to the Taichu Divine Realm will be opened in the Wushuang Holy City. Those of you who want to go to Taichu Divine Realm will be ready to go together. Jian Wushuangdo, yes. Those great emperors nodded respectfully and soon they prepared. 10 years, although relatively short, but for these emperors just going back and making arrangements will be more than 10 years. Qinghua Kingdom, the kingdom of Eastern Tang Dynasty. Dongtu Detang has stood for countless years in the Qinghua world. At the time of Jian Wushuang, Dongtu Detang was already recognized as the first country in Qinghua. Even now, tens of millions of years have passed. Detang is still the strongest country and no one dares to challenge. After all, what stands behind Dongtu Detang is Wushuang Holy City. Lao San, this is the imperial city of Dongtu Detang. It has passed tens of millions of years. The imperial city of Dongtu Detang is much larger than before, but it is still here. Wang Yuan and Su Rou personally led Jian Wushuang to a void in the Eastern Tang Dynasty imperial city. The 13 blood demon gods had directly entered the imperial city, and they were decisive in the imperial city. In the end, the second child, Senior Emperor Xiaodi, and Senior Tang Emperor died in that battle. Wang Yuan, his expression was a bit lonely, but she soon flickered out. Boss, you just said to us, is it true? Do you really have a way to resurrect them? Wang Yuan and Su Rou both looked at Jian Wushuang with an incredible look. After Jian Wushuang let 7-star Xuanzong and the great emperors in the chaotic world of ancient times prepare to leave this world, Jian Wushuang found Wang Yuan and Su Rou and told them that they had a way to make the dead second child Yang Zixuan live. Come. Wang Yuan and Su Rou were naturally surprised, and the three of them immediately came here. It's just that although the words were spoken by Jian Wushuang, it is necessary for a dead person to be resurrected and still have been dead for tens of millions of years. This is indeed too much for Wang Yuan and Su Rou. Unbelievable. It is not impossible to bring the dead back to life. 10 years ago, in the end of the world, I actually died once, but my master Xian Yi immediately cast a twist of time and space, saved my soul, and then I was sent to the divine realm in the beginning, and this is where I am now. Chapter 3678. Second more. Reversing time and space? Wang Yuan blinked and then asked, Boss, do you do that? Well? Jian Wushuang smiled bitterly. To reverse the trick of time and space, it is necessary to have a high level of understanding and application of the rules of time and space. Even in the whole world of the early gods, I am afraid that only the owner of the time and space hall can. It meets the requirements of performing the reversal of time and space. As for me, although I have fully understood the rules of time and space, I am still a little worse in applying the rules of time and space. A little worse? Both Wang Yuan and Su Rou's faces changed. Don't worry, listen to me first. Jian Wushuang smiled. If it was in the early world of God, even if I help each other in time and space, I'm afraid it will be difficult to reverse time and space. Naturally, I see and resurrect the second child, but here after all, it's not too early but in the chaotic world of all ages. In this world, the laws of heaven are not as powerful as in the early world of God, and the restrictions are naturally not so high. Moreover, I have completely refined this world and even heaven is under my control. Here, with the blessing of the whole heavenly will, even if my use of the rules of time and space is not good, it should be possible to reverse the time and space. That being the case, what are you waiting for? Show it quickly. Wang Yuan couldn't wait to say. Jian Wushuang also did not delay, directly touching the heavenly will of the ever-changing world of chaos, followed by OM. The power of the majestic rules of time and space has surged from Jian Wushuang. This power of time and space rules is significantly stronger than the previous blessing of the will of the heavens. With the guidance of Jian Wushuang's will, this time and space rule the force directly covered the void in front of him. Time and space, reverse. Jian Wushuang pointed his right hand away. Suddenly, the space and time in front of the void began to change rapidly. Originally it was a normal flowing time and space, but under the guidance of Jian Wushuang, this void began to go back in time. Wow, 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 wow. Back in time and space, a large number of pictures of this void appear one by one in front of Jian Wushuang, and flow madly at a horrible speed. The speed of time and space is also getting faster. A moment later, this void time and space has returned to millions of years ago, and finally fixed on a picture. That picture is exactly the 13 blood demon gods originally controlled by Dao Yuanzi, rushed directly into the imperial city, killed the ring in the imperial city, and battled with Yang Zishuan, Xiaodi and Tang Huang. In that battle, Yang Zishuan, Emperor Xiao and Tang Emperor were directly killed in the face of the 13 blood demon gods with almost no resistance. In that battle, Jian Wushuang did not personally experience it, but now in the long river of time, he has seen the complete picture. Wang Yuan and Su Rou also saw it. The second child, the second child. Wang Yuan cried immediately, and there are seniors from Emperor Xiao, they are all there. The sword has no double-sided color but is extremely dignified. He thought that he should use the power of time and space now and the blessing of heaven and earth in this world, and it should be relatively easy to perform the reversal of time and space, but in fact it is not easy at all. On the contrary, it is extremely difficult, especially it is controlling the flow rate of time, which consumes too much of his divine power. No wonder even the Lord of Time and Space can easily reverse the time and space, which is too expensive. Especially to resurrect some dead people from the past, the price is even more arrogant. Even the one who was the most beloved disciple of the Lord of Time and Space, he only reversed the time and space and resurrected once. After his disciple died again, however, he has never performed a second time. Because once Tang Emperor reverses time and space and resurrects the past, the backwash in the long river that he has endured can definitely cause him unprecedented damage. But Jian Wushuang is a perfect life. His ability to withstand it is much stronger than that of Tang Huang. At the cost, he can barely afford it. Okay. Jian Wushuang spit out 3 fixed words in one breath, and in the front picture the 3 figures came out of the picture slowly due to his influence. Buzzing. The long river dissipated, and the void space-time ahead returned to normal again. The difference is that in this void at the moment, in addition to Jian Wushuang, Wang Yuan and Su Rou, there are 3 other figures. Those 3 figures are Yang Zishuan, Xiaodi and Tang Huang. Of these 3 people, Yang Zishuan was Jian Wushuang's life and death brother. Emperor Xiao had great gratitude to Jian Wushuang, and was a father as cold as frost. As for the Tang Emperor, the relationship with him was also very profound. All 3 were resurrected. However, after the resurrection came, Jian Wushuang found that he had consumed more than 80% of his divine power in order to resist the backswallowing in that long river. In one breath, it took 80% of the magic power. This is also because he is a perfect life, is full of divine power, and is more capable of bearing. If they were to become the general masters, forcibly resurrecting these 3 people from the long river, I am afraid that they would be killed directly by the backbite in that long river. Me, where am I? Aren't we dead? Why do we seem to be alive again now? Here is Dongtu de Tong or Qinghua, right? The resurrected Yang Zishuan, Xiaodi and Tang Huang were at a loss at this moment. Although Jian Wushuang forcibly revived them from a long time, their memories are still intact, knowing that they had already died and were directly killed by the 13 blood deities, so now consciousness returns here. Of course they couldn't accept it for a while. They were still in shock, but Wang Yuan and Su Rou had been unable to control themselves. Haha, second child? Second brother? Wang Yuan and Su Rou had already rushed up. Even Jian Wushuang was also in shape. appeared directly beside Yang Zishuan. Second, it's been a long time. Jian Wushuang grabbed Yang Zishuan's shoulder directly. Boss Wang Yuan, and the fourth? Are you a few? Yang Zishuan still hasn't completely returned to God. Jian Wushuang did not immediately explain too much to Yang Zishuan, but turned to the side. Xiao Di and Tang Huang came over. Uncle Xiao and Tang Huang welcome you back. Jian Wushuang smiled. Sword unparalleled. What's the matter? Xiao Di and Tang Huang saw Jian Wushuang and immediately recognized him, but their expressions were still strange. Half a day later, the talents of Yang Zishuan, Emperor Xiao and Tang Huang finally understood what had happened. At the same time, they also knew that they had indeed died, and they had been dead for tens of millions of years. But now, Jian Wushuang uses great magical means forcibly resurrected them. End of this chapter. Chapter 3679. Wandao Sword Master, the first is more. Wushuang Holy City inside the manor. Jian Wushuang, Wang Yuan, Yang Zishuan, and Su Rou sat together and drank and talked. Ha, happy brothers, but it hasn't been sitting and drinking like this for a long time. Wang Yuan kept drinking and laughed. He hasn't been so happy for a long time. Since Yang Zishuan died and Jian Wushuang left the chaotic world of ancient times, Wang Yuan couldn't be happy even if he wanted to be happy. Thanks to my third son who brought me back to life, my third son, this glass of wine, I respect you. Yang Zishuan raised his glass and looked at Xiang Wushuang with a touch of gratitude. Our brothers, there is no need to go outside like this, just drink it. Jian Wushuang also completely let go and drank with his own brothers. The four made fun of each other and were happy. By the third child, I just heard you say that in 10 years, you will open a channel to the early world of God in the chaotic world of eternity? Many of our top powers in this world, including the boss Wang Yuan and the fourth son, will they all go to the early world of God? Yang Zishuan asked suddenly. Yes. Jian Wushuang nodded. Why, do you also plan to pass together? Yang Zishuan frowned slightly but then slowly shook his head. I do indeed care. I have fallen for more than tens of millions of years, and the current strength is still only at the level of the gods. These strengths are only in the current Qinghuo world, or it is the poor and poor in the chaotic world of all ages. If I go to the larger pre-god realm, I am afraid that there is no room for survival. At least I have to break through to the chaotic realm, which is the level of the monarch. I will go to the pre-god realm again. When Yang Zishuan fell, it was just that he had just broken through and reached the gods. Now, after millions of years, although Jian Wushuang raised him from a long time, he could not change the strength of Yang Zishuan. He is still just an ordinary god. And the world god, in the current world of chaos, is everywhere, even the true is nothing. In other words, he still has a long way to go in the chaotic world of ancient times. If at this time he went directly to the beginning of the divine realm, although it is also possible at the beginning stage he relied more or less on the sword, shelter and care, otherwise the risk is too great. However, Yang Zishuan was not the kind of person who would depend on others for shelter, even if he was his brother. Another point is that Yang Zishuan stayed in the Qinghuo realm during his lifetime, and he didn't live long. He could still continue to wander in the chaotic world of ancient times. Unlike Wang Yuan and Su Rou, the two of them have lived for 10 million years in the chaotic world of ancient times, and they have always been in high positions. They have been bored here for a long time, and they definitely want to go to the early world of God. That being the case, then the three of us will be waiting for you in the divine realm in the early days. I believe that with your talents, it won't be long before you can reach the level of the monarch. Jian Wushuang smiled. Yang Zishuan's talent Jian Wushuang knew. Looking at the entire chaotic world of ancient times, it is definitely the top genius, and it has also gained a good chance in this ancient battlefield, and its physique is also special. Under this premise, it will be cultivated in the current blue fire world. The speed of progress will certainly be very rapid. It doesn't take long to become a god. Come here, let's continue drinking. The four swordsmen continued to talk freely. The four were together and drank for 3 days and 3 nights before they ended. After that, Jian Wushuang came to see Xiaodi once again. Uncle Xiao, Shuanger, she's in this 100-year-old Xingyue Agarwood. Jian Wushuang took Xingyue Agarwood out. Although Xiaodi's current strength is only the level of the realm, if he does touch the Xingyue Agarwood he will not feel anything at all, but when he touches the Xingyue Agarwood with his hands, he will immediately feel the agaric, the sleepy soul and kuni. It's Shuanger, it's her. Emperor Xiao was trembling a bit and even asked, Wushuang, how could Shuanger become this way? I didn't protect her, but Uncle Xiao, don't worry, it won't be long before I take back her body and wake her up completely. Jian Wushuang go. Well, I believe you. Xiao Di nodded. He has unparalleled trust in the sword. After all, he was watching Jian Wushuang grow up step by step, and he was very clear about Jian Wushuang's person and ability. After 10 years, the passage to the Taichu Divine Realm will open. Uncle Xiao, will you go with me to the Taichu Divine Realm? Jian Wushuang asked. How about Yang Zishuan? How did he decide? Xiao Di asked. As the master of Yang Zishuan, Emperor Xiao wanted to know his apprentice's decision. The second child, he will stay in the chaotic world of eternity, wait for the practice to reach the level of the monarch, and then go to the early world of God. Jian Wushuangdo. Well, I guess he would choose this way. Xiao Di smiled. This kid is like that. As long as he can do it through hard work, he will never ask others for help. He doesn't want to rely on your strength now. He wants to test his strength and grow up slowly just like you. I know. Jian Wushuang nodded. Since Yang Zishuan chose to stay, I will stay. After a while, I have grown up with him. In the early days, the gods were barely able to protect themselves. I will leave again. Road. Okay. Jian Wushuang did not reluctantly. Time flies. Throughout the chaos world of innumerables, countless strong men are quietly preparing for the things announced by Jian Wushuang before, and only after 10 years, when Jian Wushuang opened the channel with the kingdom of the early gods, they left the chaos in the world and went to more the vastness of the beginning of the divine realm. And in the 8th year, something happened in Qinghua. Although this matter is not too big, it has also caused some disturbances. This incident originated from the Purple Heaven God Emperor of Bihai Yunj. For a few years ago, a large family Yi family was destroyed. The entire Yi family was uprooted by the Purple Heaven God Emperor. It is said that all practitioners in the entire Yi family were taken. The only one who was only 10 years old, Yi Qin, escaped by chance. That Yi Qin is said to be a waste that cannot be cultivated by nature, but as a result, it is this waste, and I do know where to get great chances. Not only did he repair his physique, but it took only 10 years to break through and reach the monarch. The level, and more importantly, he also has an unparalleled sword skill. In this year, Yi Qin struck into the Baiheyan Pavilion with a single gun in the realm of the prince, and used only one sword to break through the guardian formation of Baiheyan Pavilion, and then opened a killing ring in Baiheyan Pavilion. End of this chapter. Easy to read novel. Chapter 3680? Second more. Bihai Yunj is a first-class power in the Qinghua world. During the period there were 18 gods and 3 emperors. It is said that there was also an emperor behind Bihai Yunj. Behind Yunj, the 3 gods of Bihai Yunj, many gods, including the Purple Emperor, joined forces to slay the Yi Qin. However, he did not expect that Yi Qin swept all the cultivators above the princes in Bihai Yunj. 18 gods and 3 emperors were all killed by him. And no matter whether it is God King or God Emperor, he cannot take the Yi Qin sword. In other words, Yi Qin can kill the emperor with one sword. Yi Qin is just a god monarch level. In the realm of the gods, one sword can kill the emperor, but how good Yi Qin's swordsmanship is. Because of this, there will be no small movements in Qinghua. Of course, this incident also passed into Jian Wushuang's ears. A peaceful bamboo forest, this is where Jian Nantian and Ji Wuming lived together. Father, mother? Jian Wushuang came to Jian Nantian and Ji Wuming. Shuanga, you're here. Jian Nantian glanced at Jian Wushuang. Look at that little fellow, his sword skills have met your requirements. Jian Wushuang immediately looked intently, but on the surface of the lake in front of him, a young man in a black robe sat quietly with a good sword in his body, but there was no ripple in the surrounding lake. It's as if the young man in black, including his sword, is just a hair falling on the lake. The control of Jianyi has reached the point of returning to its original state, yes. Jian Wushuang nodded slightly. It seems that this little fellow has not been in vain for the past 8 years. Jian Nantian beside him also smiled. Since 8 years ago you left that sword in his mind, he has been devoting all his energy to the study of that swordplay. For the past 3 years he has not made any progress. He didn't even get a glimpse of the mystery from that swordplay. It wasn't until the 4th year that he saw something from that swordplay. Since then his swordplay has started to improve. Really did it by himself? Father, could it be that you didn't give me a point or two? Jian Wushuang looked at Jian Nantian with interest. My understanding of kendo is not so strong due to the limits of this world. I do understand your sword either and how to point him. I just gave him some reference based on my own experience. Wu's suggestion is complete, and he can really understand the mystery in it, relying on his own efforts. Jian Nantian Dao. Jian Wushuang nodded slightly. It can be seen that this 8-year period, this little guy's progress on the kendo is really amazing. Otherwise he cannot be headed to kill the emperor in the realm of gods, and it is still a sword. Then, did he meet your requirements? Jian Nantian asked. If he wants to fully meet my requirements, he is still far behind, but in 8 years, Kendo has made such progress, and his talent in Kendo is indeed very good. In addition to his special constitution, he also has qualification as my registered disciple. Jian Wushuangdo. Just a named disciple? Jian Nantian frowned. Father, don't fight for this little guy. Although it's just a named disciple, I will still teach him something and give him some proper tests. I will really accept him as soon as he has completed my tests. Personally, disciples, after all, my requirements for receiving disciples are very strict. Jian Wushuang smiled. He was a man of 2 lives, but he also received disciples. For example, Lin Lan he once collected in the Qinghua world. However, after all, Lin Lan was his disciple in the early days. In addition, the eternal world born again has little potential. This chaotic world of ancient times is already the end for her. It is almost impossible to achieve certain achievements in the early world of God possible. But to this disciple, he was quite taking care of himself, and even after returning now, he personally taught Lin Lan something. But precisely because he came back to see Lin Lan this time, and clearly realized that he and Lin Lan are at a completely different level, he felt that he must take disciples very carefully and cannot say that his disciples must be able to follow at the same time. You should not be too different from yourself. Lin Lan is too far away from him. The current Yi Qin, first of all, has the innate pulse, and secondly, the Kendo talent is really good, and Jian Wushuang will consider accepting him as a named disciple. It's good to be a named disciple, and I'll tell him the news now. Jian Tiandao. Don't worry. Jian Wushuang waved his hand. Let him keep his current state, study for 2 more years, wait for 2 years, the 10-year deadline is up, and tell him about it. In addition, 10 he will be brought to Wuxia Holy City after the year, and I plan to take him with him to the early kingdom of God. Do you want to go to the early world of God too? Jian Nanshan's expression moved. Although with his current strength he still has a long way to go in the early world, but everything has to come step by step. When I first arrived in the early world it was the same, and I will arrange for him at that time. Go to a place and let him rely on his own ability to improve himself step by step. I will not give him too much interference. As for how far he can grow in the future, it is up to him. Jian Wushuangdo. Okay. Jian Nantian and Ji Wuming both nodded slightly. They do have a certain feeling for Yi Qin, so they are extremely concerned about it. But in the end, how to settle Yi Qin, then it's all with swords. Jian Wushuang soon left. In a blink of an eye, 2 years passed. The 10-year deadline has finally arrived. Wushuang Holy City has already become the focus of the entire chaotic world. There are a large number of strong men in the chaotic world of ancient times. Among them, the emperors standing at the top are the main ones. There are 200 or 300 people gathered in the void on the left. As for the void on the right, they are left by the 7 stars. The strong ones who came down were also quite a lot. They gathered here, waiting for Jian Wushuang to appear. Coming? I do know who was the first to speak out, and everyone's eyes were looking forward into the void, and there were dozens of figures rushing there. The head of it was Jian Wushuang. In addition, there are also Jian Nantian Ji Wuming couple, Wang Yuan, Suro Yi Qin, who has become Jian Wushuang's disciple, and many people who want to do with them and plan to go to the early world of God together. Chapter 3681. The first is more. Are you all here? Jian Wushuang stood at the center of the crowd, and his eyes swept across the surrounding people. My 7-star Xuanzong camp, but everyone who has awakened is already here. Shen Yan said. Jian Wushuang nodded slightly. He controlled the heavens of the chaotic world of eternity, and knew everything in the chaotic world of eternity. Indeed, the strong men who have woke up from the 7-star Xuanzong camp have already arrived here, and the rest are also because of the serious injuries or because they have slept for too long under the lack of spiritual power, and they will never wake up. People. In addition to Qixing Xuanzong, people in the other camps seem to have received news. Jian Wushuang smiled lightly, but his gaze was looking at a void. In this void there are also many silhouettes. These people are obviously not the indigenous strong men in the chaotic world of ancient times, but they did not stand with Qixing Xuanzong, but they could distance them from Qixing Xuanzong. Even the strong men of Qixing Xuanzong are full of vigilance and alert. The 7-star Emperor Xuanzong looked at these people with hostility. This situation made Jian Wushuang immediately understand that these people were left in the chaotic world of ancient times after the end of the war, from the 3 camps of the Holy Land. In the first battle, the 7-star God realm was completely blocked. Many of the 3 sacred realms did not have time to escape from the 7-star God realm. They were also left behind. When Jian Wushuang was in the chaotic world of ancient times, he also talked with these people. He is dealt with and even killed. Although later, because the Lord of the Three Sacred Realms opened the temporary passages personally to allow some people to leave proudly, there are still many people who remain here, and have not regained consciousness until now, thousands of years later, because of the ancient chaos the world's aura recovered, and they slowly woke up. 10 years ago, Jian Wushuang was about to open the news to the early world of the gods. It caused an unprecedented sensation at the highest level of the entire chaotic world of ancient times. These people also got the news. Now they have rushed here. Naturally, they want to pass through the channel. Together return to the early divine realm. The sword Wu Huang flickered and came directly to the group of people. You, in the original battle, belonged to the Three Sacred Realms camp? The sword was indifferent, staring at the group of people in front of it. The faces of these people were all changed, and one of them, a brown-haired old man, smiled awkwardly. It is true that the Three Sacred Realms camp, but most of us were out of helplessness when we joined the Three Sacred Realm camps. Your helplessness I also know some, so I will not continue to investigate with you at the beginning. Now that you are here, you want to leave this realm and return to the early gods, and I will complete you. Jian Wushuang rode. Thank you, master. The headed old man is grateful. Dozens of practitioners behind the old man with brown hair also showed surprise. Although I promised to let you leave, but there was only one passage and there were too many of you, I couldn't send you away at once. So, you will be divided into 3 teams according to their own history. I will listen to them later. Ordered to enter the passage one after another. Jian Wushuang go. It's all up to the master. Although the old man with brown hair is also a true ruler, he can see at a glance the insurmountable gap between himself and Jian Wushuang, so when facing Jian Wushuang, he awesome. At the time of the war, the Three Sacred Realms camp, in addition to the Three Sacred Realms themselves, also had 4 major protoss, the 8 Fang Tianzongs joined. Now, as I said, all people from the 8 Fang Tianzongs stand here. Jian Wuyo pointed to the void on the left. Suddenly, nearly half of those dozens of figures reached the void pointed to by Jian Wushuang. Oh, there are a lot of people in Bafang Tianzong. Jian Wushuang's mouth slightly tilted, but he was not surprised. At the time of the World War I, although the Three Sacred Realms were the main force, the Three Sacred Realms were largely the top strong men to rely on. As for the cannon fodder, the weaker practitioners were mostly from the 4 Protoss and Bafang. Among the Tianzong, the number of practitioners who participated in the battle was the most. Everyone from the 4 major gods stand here. Jian Wushuang pointed to the void on the right. Immediately, dozens of silhouettes reached the void on the right. And there are still more than a dozen practitioners who are still staying there, still standing there. These people are neither from the octagonal celestial sect, nor from the 4 great Protoss, so their origin. The rest of you, no accident, are all from the 3 sacred realms? Jian Wushuang looked down at the dozen figures in front of him. My lord, 6 of us come from the sanctuary of life and death, 4 from the sanctuary of destruction, and 3 from the sanctuary of flames. One of the top saints said. Oh, isn't it? Jian Wushuang smiled slightly, but the smile was as cold as a blade. Since you are all from the 3 holy realms camp, now I announce it as the actual master of this world, 13 of you all, the death penalty. What? The 13 practitioners from the 3 holy realms were all surprised. But Jian Wushuang ignored the changes in their looks at all, and the moment he announced the death penalty for these people, he had already said it. You don't need to use too many methods at all. You have completely refined this world, and you are the sword master of the heavenly will in this world. In this world you can explode your strongest combat power at will. With a wave of the robe, a ray of divine power swept out. This ray of divine power swept across the 13 people like a breeze, and instantly the 13 human bodies were shattered like paper. There is no room for struggling and no space. These 13 people have not even had a scream before they have been beheaded by the sword unparalleled. This scene changed the faces of the people around. Especially the people from the 8 sides of Tianzong and the 4 major gods standing in the void on the left and right sides were even more shocked. You know, in the first battle they were the pawns of the 3 sacred realms. Now Jian Wushuang directly killed the people in the 3 sacred realms by means of thunder. Can these people still survive? Grown-ups. I was really helpless to wait for that battle at the beginning, and I ask your lord, to have a large number and wait for my life. The brown-haired old man who had reached the level of the master of the rule knelt down to Jian Wushuang on the spot. In order to save his life, the lord of dignified rules no longer cares about dignity. This is the rule of the rule, and everyone else immediately asked for mercy. Chapter 3682. Second more. Let's all get up. Jian Wushuang was carrying both hands, looking at the crazy beggars in front of him, looking indifferent. I want to kill but the people of the three sacred realms. As for the four major protoss and the octagonal Tianzong, I will not hold them, I will open later after the passage, you can leave directly. After that, Jian Wushuang didn't bother them any more and left directly. Seeing Jian Wushuang leaving, these people just exhaled. Mr. Xian Yan and the 7-star Xuanzong. Jian Wushuang came to everyone in Qixing Xuanzong again. I have to tell you one thing before opening the passage to Taichu God Realm. What is it? Xian Yan looked over. The 7th heaven, where the 7-star God Realm was originally, has been completely extinct because it has maintained the operation of this realm. It has become completely dead, and it has been completely isolated from other territories of the early God Realm, so even if you return now, at the beginning of the world, it is impossible to return to the 4th heaven. Jian Wushuangdo. 4th day, is it completely extinct? Hearing this news, everyone in Qixing Xuanzong was somewhat unacceptable. But you can rest assured that although you can't go to the 4th day, I will rearrange a place for you so that Qixing Xuanzong can make a comeback. Jian Wushuangdo. Where? Xian Yan asked. The 3rd day, the nest of the 3 holy realms. Jian Wu's eyes were cold. What? Qixing Xuanzong, everyone was stunned. The dumb Emperor 13 frowned and said, Swords are unparalleled. Although my 7-star Xuanzong has deep blood enmity with the 3 sacred realms, all my strong men under his 7-star Zhensong can't wait to uproot the 3 sacred realms. The Lord of the Realm is ashamed. However, my 7-star Xuanzong is only these people now, and because they have been sleeping for too long, they are still in the weakest stage. At this time, if they are going to collide with the 3 sacred realms, it is tantamount to hitting stones. Emperor 13's words made these powerful men of Qixing Xuanzong agree. In the current 7-star Xuanzong, the remaining top powerhouses are basically here, and all of them are in the weakest stage. Even if they go to the early divine realm, they will not be able to fully recover in 1.5 minutes, even if they fully recover. In the face of the 3 sacred realms, I am afraid that there are only wolves who flee. Naturally, they can't fight the 3 sanctuaries directly now. All of you, the reason why I said that I want to arrange you on the 3rd day in the nests of the 3 holy realms, is because immediately, that is, today, on the day when you return to the beginning of the world, that the 3 sacred realms will never be there again. Jian Wushuangdo. As soon as this word came out, the people of Qixing Xuanzong, including those practitioners from the 4 great protoss and the Octan Tianzong next to the void, were shocked. Jian Wushuang, what do you mean? Is it possible that you really intend to completely destroy the 3 sacred realms? Xian Yan also looked horrified at Jian Wushuang. Can't it? Jian Wushuang glanced at Xian Yan. It can be, but the strength of the 3 sacred realms is not weak. Even if my 7-star Xuanzong is at its peak, these 3 sacred realms can also compete with us, and now my 7-star Xuanzong has been destroyed. For many years, the 3 sacred realms must have been a dominant figure in the divine realm in the early years, and their accumulated strength must be stronger. What's more, the Lord of the 3 sacred realms still has the blessing of heavenly will. In the early divine realm, any one of them can be said to be invincible. Even if they are the masters, they cannot help them. How can they be destroyed with such strength? Xian Yan said. How to destroy the 3 sacred realms? Rest assured, I will let you see it with your own eyes. Jian Wushuang only smiled slightly and did not explain too much. All of you present, wait here for a while, and let me go to the early world to arrange it. After that, Jian Wushuang waved his hand, and his figure disappeared into this world. On the 4th day, the huge magic circle still exists there, and it is still running slowly. The Lord of the Heavens and the Lord of Time and Space have also been waiting there, and although Jian Wushuang has spent a full 10 years in the chaotic world of eternity, the time flow of the eternal chaos world is completely different from that of the early world. After 10 years in the chaotic world of eternity, it was only 1 month in the world of the gods. Swordless twins swept out of that circle and appeared in front of the Lord of the Heavens and the Lord of Time and Space. Heavenly friend, come out so soon but have seen your loved ones. The Master of Space and Time laughed. See you all. Jian Wushuang nodded with a smile. Time, space and sky, are you ready for all the things I have circulated to you? Rest assured, after receiving your message, I Zhitian, and Desolate Emperor immediately ordered to prepare. Until now, the 3 free alliances of Zhiqian League, Temple of Time and Space, and Tianzu Dojo have all been prepared. Just wait with your order. The ruler of all 3 major free alliances will lead His Majesty's countless saints and kill the 3rd heaven at the same time. In addition, 6 of the 8 heavenly sects are willing to stand in the camp of my 3 major freedom alliances, and they have also formed an army of 100,000 saints led by dozens of rulers. Only when we do, they will act immediately. Also, there are dozens of forces with great heritage and strength such as Zixiamen, the Lord of the Great Fire Xinhua, Taishang Forgotten Love Valley, and the Palace of Ice and Fire. They are ready for sufficient combat power and will form by then. Allied forces shoot together. The Lord of the Heavens and the Lord of Time and Space are extremely hot. Where are the 4 Protoss? Shower, hasn't she controlled the other 3 Protoss? Jian Wushuang asked. I also personally asked over there, and the 9 Patriarchs now control a 6-realm extreme fighting power plus the power of His Majesty. The overall strength has completely surpassed the 2-3 Protoss, and because of receiving your rumor, I immediately asked the Celestial Alliance to send some strong men to help. Just now, the last total of the 3 major Protoss has been carried out. It is no accident that the war is over now. The 9-tailed Patriarch has completely controlled the other 3 major Protoss and even the entire demon domain. It's great. Sword Wushuang held it firmly with both hands, and Shin said, the 3 sacred realms have existed for too long and have been ingrained for a long time. It is by no means easy to completely destroy them, so we only then must we concentrate all our strengths and not give any chance to the 3 holy realms. The Lord of the Heavens and the Lord of Time and Space also focused on the main points. Then, Sword Wushuang was a big wave, but the huge seal array in front of them became madly smaller with the speed visible to the naked eye. Finally, it was completely integrated into Jian Wushuang's body. After all this, Jian Wushuang's eyes were powerful. Meng flashed. Go, let's depart. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.